Jarvis, drop my needle.
Hello, this is the hardcore legend Mick Foley, and if you are interested in listening to idiots, you came to the right place. Have a nice day.
Woo! That's an attention getter.
He's a very strange young man.
He's an idiot.
What we're dealing with here is a complete lack of respect for the law.
Oh my God, he's an idiot.
You know, of course, that you're out of your jurisdiction.
Personally, I think you're an idiot.
But that's the evidence in the car.
But I was going into Toshi Station to pick up some power converters.
Always like to keep my audience riveted.
Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, friends and fiends, and welcome to Free Range Idiocy, the podcast about everything, but mostly just the stuff we like. Late last week, prior to Elimination Chamber, Paul Levesque, COO or Chief Creative Officer, CCO, whatever, the dude who runs this whole thing right now, promised an industry-changing weekend, and yes, I did my air quotes there. Now, normally a couple of wizened old skeptics such as ourselves would chalk that up to a combination of corporate glad-handing speak and good old-fashioned hucksterism, but son of a bitch, did Trips ever deliver on that one. So we're here to run it all down in our recap of this event. In this, episode 197, the heel turn heard round the world. I am your Uncle Todd, and with me, as always, is the man whose destiny is to someday go head-to-head with Jim Cornette on a wrestling-themed episode of Celebrity Jeopardy. He has been my partner in Idiocy for over 2 decades, and is always ready to do what's best for the business. I give you the man they call Tim.
Oh, you done did it now. Chaos, you should have put this one in the vault, man. They not ready. They don't know what's coming, man. Oh, we gonna drop this on them right here.
I love it.
Y'all ain't ready for this. Y'all ain't ready for none of this. The boy's a bad man, and we invading the streets. Make unclever rappers scared, they be dropping the heat. Shocked the world, now I'm standing alone. I flip fools like them clamshell cellular phones. Is that a dated reference? Anyways.
Oh, it's so dated, but
you can't help but nod your head to the track. F the watered down rap, we be taking it back. Give it to me straight, ain't no chasing it. Check yourself in the mirror, ain't no facing it. 'Cause you playing the role and you planning to fold. This the master plan. We got the planet on hold. We all over the streets like your favorite sneaker, breaking up your sound like a drive-through speaker. Everything that I be spitting is strong. After I rock, fast forward through the rest of the song. We the monkey wrench. That's going to ruin your plan. And don't F with John Cena. I'm a bad, bad man.
Very, very nice, sir. And
greetings and salutations, my friend. How are you?
Doing all right, I guess.
That is from Bad, Bad Man, long time ago, John Cena, with such poet laureates as the THA, the trademark, with a C at the end, not a K.
Well, yeah.
And the senior most poet laureate, Bumpy Knuckles. So I just want to call out to Bumpy Knuckles and the trademark for bringing us a fine bit of John Cena-rific rap.
John Cena-rific? What the hell?
What?
Okay.
We'll get into all of the fun with Mr. Cena later in the show.
Yeah, I guess we will if we ever get there. But we'll
You're
see
doing something over on your side. I see your eyes are darting back and forth. Are you?
I have to run this whole sumbitch over here by myself. So I'm doing things that ain't your concern.
And for the fans who have written in, I just want to say, yes, I do find it interesting since we've gone into a visual medium. We don't see or hear from Patrick very much, do we, anymore?
Actually, Patrick, oddly enough, he's part of our legal team now. He is our legal team.
Did he graduate?
He's not. He has not. He's been going to night school. He told me this the last time I was over at headquarters. When I caught him trying to fry a fish in a friggin' coat closet.
Still with the fish.
Oh my God, always with the fish, dude. He was trying to tell me it was eel this time, which I'm like, that's just even nastier than anything else. But no, he's been working very hard in trying to get his I don't know. It's such a fly by night sort of lawyer school that he's going to. It's like 4 years have been taking his money and nothing. But he's our legal team now because that's what we can afford.
When they asked him to turn in a legal brief, he didn't turn in a pair of underwear, did he?
He very well might have. He very well might have. I'm thinking that he's just watching the scenes with Chucky as the lawyer, and that's pretty much it.
Probably.
Oh my!
Heretofore.
He wishes he went to Bunker Hill Community College. He wishes.
Yes.
Such a prestigious institution.
Such a prestigious. How are you, sir? Though. Oh, that's what I figured you were up to. It. This is, ladies and gentlemen, the lyrics.
You done did it now.
There it is.
Chaos, you should have put this one in the vault, man.
John Cena sounding much better than my William Shatner-esque rendition.
Your boy's a bad man. Then we invading the streets, make them clap a rapper skirt.
Man, this is good.
It actually doesn't suck. No.
I really think you should use this for his entrance music. I think it would be.
I think he needs to now.
Amazing.
Oh my gosh! All right, a little bit of that later.
Thank you, sir, for loading that up onto the sound.
Hey, I do what I can.
What did you sacrifice to slot that in?
A little Star Wars disco, but
you know what? I can live with that. So
I figured you might. Well, I'm glad that you seem to be doing all right. I mean, you're vaguely upright. You're conscious. I mean, that's a good start.
Hit 50 degrees here in the Midwest, so I don't feel the need to wear the extra jacket and the hat, and I'm warm. I'm feeling good.
You took the scooter out. Don't tell me you took the scooter out.
It is not time for the scooter yet, sir.
And I hope it never is.
I will tell you. I had a contractor. We had a company come and paint the first level of our house a couple of years ago, and we asked him to come back because we're now interested in doing the second level, and he came in. And we got talking, and I don't remember. I don't think I said anything. Oh, I think I was talking about commuting downtown or something like that. And he looked at me. He's like, "You still do the scooter, don't you?" He remembered. It must have been when I first got it too. It was like so funny. So
I feel like Uncle Corny. I'm just like, oh Christ. Just so
hey, it's a mark of a good salesman when he can remember.
Better than this, sir. You're better than this. I would expect shenanigans such as this from myself. I am the chucklehead of this show. Okay, I mean, in terms of idiocy, I carry about 80% of it. Okay,
I get from point A to point B in
the most embarrassing way possible,
quick and efficient, and environmentally friendly way. Just saying. Just saying. I just love the fact that the guy remembered that. Didn't have to prompt him.
Every time I think of you on that scooter, I start drinking early.
All right.
Anyways.
Yes, sir.
Let's see. Where were we even before we got into the John Cena portion of the show?
I don't know. I think you got very giddy when I started doing that. But,
okay. But you're doing well. I'm doing well.
I'm doing
Collectively,
well.
We're doing well. I've been told we're doing well. I mean, it's like we're at the home now. It's like, yeah, you're doing very well, Grandpa.
Hey, this Friday, I'm seeing Cap 4. So next episode, we can finally adjudicate.
Finally get around to that.
I'm sorry. Hey, look, I had to honor seeing, some Oscar nominated movies with my wife. We had fulfilled that commitment, and now. It is now safe to view the Marvel movies.
Yes, now that you've fulfilled all of your bougie requirements.
By the way, did you watch that clip I sent you of the Oscars with Adam Sandler?
I did not, no.
Oh my gosh.
Sorry, I didn't get around to it.
Funniest part of the night with him. It's
Is that saying a lot with the Oscars? Is there really that many
seeing as I haven't watched him in a while and there never seems to be anything noteworthy coming out of him, this one was actually, Conan did a really good job. Conan O'Brien was the host, and it actually finished 15 minutes ahead of time. They got done at like 9:45.
What'd they do then? They put in all the people that they forgot to put in the in memoriam.
Conan just came out on the stage. He's like, "Thanks everyone, you're wonderful. Good night." And that was it. It was a very quick ending, and off we were to the races.
Well, good. All right. Well, I guess we in that spirit, we should probably try and get into our first segment here, because otherwise we will. Oh wait, do we? Oh, I do still have the Week in Geeks. Wasn't sure for a minute.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the sort of outfit we are. Do we have all of our core pieces of the show in place?
Like a dancing bear.
Feels so
funky.
Oh, we do feel so funky.
Oh, what do we got for our Week in Geek this time, sir?
All right, I'm going to jump right into it from our friends at ScreenRant.com, purveyors of all rantings of things on the screen. This is actually a somewhat of a revisit of an article we talked about a couple weeks ago.
Is this a revisit of the revisit? Have we talked about this like on 2 other shows already?
We talked about this for the Week in Geek episode.
I know, but didn't we also talk about it like the show after?
No.
Okay.
No, because the show after we ended up nixing this because we went long with the last stuff. So that's why I
trusted to remember this crap.
I know I am both a co-host and continuity director. So I just want to.
Well, Baba, proceed.
Pardon me. I need to go put that one on my resume.
I wouldn't. It's only going to drag you down.
And so the rumor that I am referring to that we've discussed already has to do with one Steve Rogers, Captain America, going back in time to restore the Infinity Stones back to their rightful place, and basically the consequences of said time traveling back and staying, in fact, back in time. And so we have a doomsday theory that suggests Chris Evans' Captain America is responsible for Robert Downey Jr.'s Dr. Doom. And so unlike the last time when we talked about this was more about how him going and staying in the past could be what facilitates the Fantastic Four utopian-like, kind of past time that we saw in the trailer due to his presence. This one, again, riffs on this and really is about how his presence in the past could end up causing a fractured timeline where instead of it being Tony Stark, we get Dr. Doom. And so what are some thoughts on that from you, sir?
I mean, I guess it's better than like, oh, Captain America stayed in the past and therefore, Reed Richards has a bad case of the hemorrhoids. I mean, at least it's some consequences.
Reed, sit down, for crying out loud. I can't.
Where's my donut? See, now I shouldn't say that because eventually I'm going to need one now. Damn it. I mean, the thing is, like, I guess it would just, are we changing the entire timeline because of that? Or is this like somehow there's an alternate, it was another part? I don't know. I guess it's a very interesting thought, but like a lot of thoughts and a lot of ideas, until it's actually implemented in a way that is, functional and or interesting, it's kind of like, that's a great idea. Don't mean squat until you actually do it in a way that's, logical and or explain something that makes you go, ooh, I want to see that. I don't really see the tie-in. You know what I mean? I don't, because well, I guess I just don't see it there.
Part of what has motivated this is there has been rumors from our good friends at Deadline who have confirmed or are feeling rather bullish on Chris Evans having a role in Avengers Doomsday, as well as Haley Atwell, who plays Peggy Carter. And so the thought is that is it possibly, now it could be the case that we're seeing, variants of them, but the rumor here is we end up finding out that when he goes back, because again, and we talked about this a couple episodes ago, that is kind of a bit of a what's the word I'm looking for? Paradox and inconsistency at the end of Endgame when you see that Captain America has kind of returned to, or Steve Rogers has returned to give the shield away. If he had gone back in time, then yes, the timeline could have been very different, because how on earth does Captain America stay dormant? Is he really going to be disciplined and, everything we know about him, right? Is he really going to be disciplined to stay out of the way when major events are happening and that sort of thing,
Yes.
And so
does he, because I mean, he'd have to go back at some point either. I mean, at one point in the timeline is he going back to, I guess, is the big question.
Right.
Is he going back as soon as he took off, in the plane? Because then it's like, okay, you're just going to sit out the rest of World War II.
Right.
And Korea and
Right.
Vietnam and the Cuban Missile Crisis and or any of those events, if he manages,
Yeah.
like,
And
I don't buy that.
right. And that's what the theory is that he in fact caused a branch timeline, and that the events of Avengers Doomsday are caused by that decision of him staying in the past, that he let me find it. His decision to stay in the past and build life with Peggy Carter there led to a major branch timeline being created. This version of the MCU would have had Steve Rogers active during the long period he was frozen in the main timeline. And with years of events being affected by Captain America, the timeline could have led to other MCU characters making different choices, resulting in Downey being Doctor Doom and not Iron Man.
The only thing there is, though, that Doctor Doom is Victor Von Doom. Like, it's not just so this is a dude who has a backstory. He has a history. That's why I feel like it's someone from a different part of the multiverse.
Yeah.
That, just happens to look like Tony Stark.
Right.
Or looks somewhat like Tony Stark. I mean, but then again, maybe they're going to throw that in the trash. And because God, at one point, I think in the comics, because there's so many different, timelines that happen in the comics. At one point, I think Doctor Doom does take over as Iron Man, because I think almost everybody took over as Iron Man at one point. There's actually a really great meme or comics panel that came up with I forget who it was. It was the Punisher and Moon Knight. And Moon Knight was like, I was once an Avenger. And the Punisher's like, yeah, everybody's been an Avenger at this point. And he's like, even Dracula was probably an Avenger. Moon Knight's like, no, he wasn't. I checked.
That's
But
funny.
so I don't know. I mean, again, it's really going to depend on how you explain this. And is it going to be compelling, or is it just sort of are we going to get sort of like almost like when they replaced Rhodey, and we got how am I blanking? Terrence Howard,
instead of Terrence
Cheadle
Howard,
takes over, and you just get like that one line of it's me, and you get used to it, and that's it. Or do we it's just explained that way? Yeah. I don't know. Yeah. I'm good either way, as long as the story's good. So maybe, but that is the thing that I cannot buy, is that Steve Rogers just goes back in time and stays out of the way of history all that time. That is the biggest issue with that ending to Endgame, is that I cannot believe that Steve Rogers, the good man, the good soldier, just sits out of the way of history, and because he'd have to not leave his house because he sees some kid who's going to get run over by a bus. Is he not going to stop? He's not going to save him?
And
no,
so,
of course not.
And so maybe what we end up finding out when we get to the end of, because I think it's Doomsday and then Secret Wars, is maybe it ties it all up. That we end up finding out that when the old Steve appears to hand the shield over, that he is in fact traversed timelines. Maybe this is after the events of these next two movies, where he is,
maybe it's a TVA / Loki shenanigans,
right?
A healing of the timelines. Although at this point, as long as we get into the actual multiverse saga, because I feel like we've been like nipping around the edges. Like, I've had enough foreplay. Let's actually, proceed, if you will.
Baba.
Yes.
Indeed.
Or Feige, whatever. But yeah.
So we shall see. But once again, it seems like with rumors of Chris Evans and Haley Atwell being a part of Avengers Doomsday, there is much speculating as to how they will manifest in said movie. And,
I mean, we've got to get Captain Carter, right? I mean,
that would be nice. I
mean,
we got a little glimpse of it. A little glimpse of it with Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. We got a little glimpse of her. So.
Yeah, but I mean, she was such an integral part of what. Oh, it's like at this point, I feel like if they don't, it's one of the biggest like head fakes in like Marvel history to like, oh no, look at fooled you, because they've set it up.
Yeah,
it's right there on the tee, man.
Yep, agreed.
Yep.
All right, our next story, courtesy of Uncle Todd, who texted me this a couple days ago.
That's a website now, and I'm not getting a cut?
No, it is not a website. This is a referral from you. So,
I see. So I get some like a little kickback here?
You do. You get a bonus. 0 times any number is 0.
Some bitch.
Just letting you know. But yes, from sci-fi.com, part of the portfolio. Yes, indeed. The history of the word frack explained the story behind Battlestar Galactica's famous curse word.
Mm-hmm.
And really the article, talks about how with sci-fi, and, we've seen this in many different works, that there is a freedom to create language, to, explore different ideas that are not, anchored in our reality, as we've seen. But in this case, what is somewhat interesting here is the word frack, its origins actually came from where? The original Battlestar Galactica, believe it or not.
I seem to, that's the weird thing. Like I didn't read this entire article. I skimmed, I confess, but I was like, yeah, I do seem to remember that. But then of course I immediately mistrusted that because I'm like, my mind is a rusty sieve.
Mm-hmm.
I may or may not, I might be inventing that at this point in my life. I might not have had my medication today. So yeah, that's kind of an interesting little tidbit I was not quite expecting, but then immediately I was like,
but it was spelled FRACK, and it
Yes.
was used far more sparingly in the original 1970 series. While it's still, clearly telegraphed to the viewers, it is essentially a replacement curse word that could not be censored because it was not actually a word.
Mm-hmm.
Or I guess it is a word, but it usually means, isn't fracking like, stripping rocks and minerals or something like that? Or
Yeah, but at that point, I don't know if that was even that prevalent of a technique.
Yeah.
I don't know when fracking really became a kind of a mainstream form of extraction.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But in the case of our beloved BSG series from the mid 2000s, they took the C out of the word, so it is FRAK, and it is used quite liberally throughout the series.
Yes.
And used in a way that what it is they're trying to say. But it is still immune from censorship in the mid 2000s because of the fact that, it's not really a word. So
yes, I mean, it was used as a verb, adjective, adverb, noun. I mean, it ran the gamut. And you know what I love about that is listening to the Sackhoff show, is that Katie Sackhoff will use frack, from time to time on the show, and I'm like,
we have as well,
keeping the gimmick alive. Oh yeah, because I'm trying to keep this somewhat family friendly. We've gotten a little fast and loose with some of our more
you more than me
blue language. I know, of course. Once again, just trying to reinforce how much of a better human being you are. This is not up for discussion. It's not even up for debate. I'm willing to concede that point to you, that you are a better human being than I am. Like, gotcha.
I wouldn't go that far.
As Ron White said,
fine human being yourself.
Heard ya.
Seen, heard, smelt, felt, and dealt.
Yes.
All right.
I feel uncomfortable every time you say that. Like, I feel violated in some way.
I feel like I owe Jimmy Dice, a quarter every time I use that.
He might be asking for something else.
Oh, dear.
5 minutes alone in the back of your Uber.
Oh, good God. What?
Sorry.
Oh, dear.
Sorry, yeah.
Good Lord Almighty.
Crossing the streams.
Yeah, a little bit. All right. Anything else on this one? Anything else on the history and meaning
Not a
of
fracking thing, sir.
All right. So yes, frack, ladies and gentlemen, has its roots in the origin series of Battlestar Galactica.
And if you don't like it, go frack yourself.
Thank you, Uncle Todd. Now, our final article for this week in Geek is from our friends at Gizmodo.com. All that is moto and gizzed.
Be careful how you say that, sir.
What?
Just be careful with your pronunciation is
Okay.
all I'm saying.
Hey, you know what, Mr. Back of the Uber?
It might just be you wanted to split a cab. I'm just saying, you're
right.
taking this to other directions that I probably did, but may not have intended.
Good Lord.
Yes.
The title of this one, Andor Season 2, will drop in 3 episode weekly chapters. So this is really exciting because instead of just getting one per week over 12 weeks, we're actually going to get 3 episodes at a clip. And, we had already covered this in prior Week in Geeks based on articles that we had found on the interwebs that yes, the Andor season 2 would be essentially organized in multi 3-episode chapters with 12 episodes. So what would that put us at? About 4 chapters would be told across 3 episodes each, 12 episodes total, leading up to, we're told, right up to the events of Rogue One, a Star Wars story. So what are your thoughts on their idea of releasing the episodes this way? Are they giving us too much of a good thing quickly? Or is this what we need to, just, kind of work our way through a chapter, so to speak, and get a sense of, kind of the events? Because again, these 3-episode arcs are going to take place in a year, and it's like 4 years leading up to Rogue One. So thoughts on this approach?
I mean, I don't think it's going to work. I don't think it would work for every show, but where, I mean, essentially you're saying like each chapter equals a year. I think it works perfectly. And it's, again, streaming is still, even though, I mean, it's been around for quite a while now, it's still in the long-term, view, it's still fairly young. So there's still a lot to be done, and there's still a lot of different ways to explore of how you distribute stuff. And it's also, I mean, it kind of plays to how, we watch stuff. There's some stuff that you watch, one at a time because you get it that way. And there's other stuff, I mean, binge watching is a thing. I mean, I did it with Skeleton Crew with the fam, like 8 episodes back to back to back to back to back. Like, it was great. I think it's very interesting in this term because it's going to depend on how long the episodes are. Because if they're around, 35, 40 minutes, which is what I think Andor season 1 was, because they were not like 25-minute shows. They would have been, if you put them in like a regular broadcast air slot, they probably would have filled an hour slot with commercials. So, I mean, essentially, you're almost getting like a movie every week.
Yeah,
which is kind of crazy, and it's also like it. Again, it's more kind of evidence as to why the price tag is so high, and you could make the argument that you're actually kind of getting a pretty good bargain here when you look at, as we did with I did my poor job of the maths, and someone else did I think a little bit finer comb on it, but once again, prove me correct, if not in exactitude in math, but overall concept that, like, if you're talking about $1 per minute, you're getting a deal here. Yeah. I think it makes sense. I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to kind of having that. I always like it when they start, a season with like 2 back-to-back episode, because it really helps jump you into that story and gives you that immediacy of like, okay, so 2 episodes in, oh, now I got to find out what happens next week for episode 3.
Yep.
I think this is going to be really good. So I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, me too. And I'm hoping, that they keep with the pacing and the character focus that they, started in season 1. And that it's not necessarily, I mean, even though they're doing a year and 3 episodes, I'm hopeful that we still get that great storytelling, that we became accustomed to from season 1. And I rewatched Andor with my oldest over the Christmas break period, and really it just such a, I mean, that and Rogue One I just feel like are such solid outings.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited to see what they do. I'm excited to see what kind of lore story points they touch on. We talked a little bit, I think, last episode about the Gorman massacre, and if that gets worked into this at all, since it seems like a pivotal point for Mon Mothma and her need to start, kind of going on the run, so to speak. Curious if we get a view into, oh my gosh, Forrest Whitaker's
Saw Gerrera.
Saw Gerrera, thank you.
See the dream.
Yeah, but to see, we get a shot in the trailer of him, more mechanized than he was, in season 1. And so do we get to see, as part, and again, I don't know if this is where the focus of it's going to be. I mean, like I can live without it if they don't show us that, but I'm just curious if we get to understand a little bit more about Saw and his approach to, basically anarchy and the way that anarchy has consequences,
Mhm.
because clearly he is a man who is wearing his consequences very clearly in Rogue One, where he's, breathing out of that. I mean, he's basically a man who's propped up by a machine to some degree. He's kind of like a poor man's Darth Vader in a way, where he's there, but he's also barely
he's
there.
Timu Darth Vader.
Yeah, basically. But hey,
as long as we get Baby Borgullet, I don't care what they do.
That would be great.
I want to see Saw Gerrera holding him like a Bond villain with like a Persian cat, just like, Borgullet will know.
Well, I was going to say we have a sequence where he's holding this thing and someone's like, "What is that?"
Yeah.
And he looks up and he's like, "Borgullet."
Yes.
He knows. That would be wonderful. We got to get a little bit of that. But there's a lot of interesting threads that I'm curious to see if they tap into, because as we saw at the end of season 1, Andor was able to successfully get his friends off of their homeworld, and they were going to retreat to some other, I'm assuming, a rebel location where, now he's vested in, he directed them to some remote area, but he was going to catch up with them. He then commits himself to the Alliance, basically, to what Stellan Skarsgård's character Luthen is about. And we don't see them in Rogue One, so I am curious if we're going to see the cost that comes with him being part of this rebellion, that he loses his friends along the way.
Yeah.
But in that trailer, as cool as that trailer was with the music and stuff, there's some very haunting images in that trailer. Like, one of the cooler parts with the music has, a couple of X-Wings and this one ship kind of starting to take off, and it's in the purview or the view of a dead body laying on the ground. Like, something bad just went down. I'm a bad man. Something did not go.
Can you tie that in as many times as possible?
Please do.
Are you serious?
Yeah. Those X-Wings are taking off, and look, it fits. If you think of that scene, it just fits right in there.
It does.
Oh, you done did it now.
Say, you done did it now.
Chaos, you should have put this one
Andor, you done did it now.
I want to see if there's an instrumental version of this.
There's got to be. It's got to be.
Your boy's a bad man.
Oh yeah.
This should be the new theme music.
Shock the world, now I'm standing alone. I flip fools like
you get sued within 2 seconds.
I don't know. It's not like it's a well-known, well-played track. If he uses it as entrance music, then we're in trouble.
It does go way harder than it really.
Yes. I'd be willing to for one episode end the show with this as opposed to the Cult of Personality.
Oh, well, I'm glad that you're willing to go that far.
All right. Well, I think all that to say, we have no issue or,
No.
Hey, even if we did object, it's not like anyone's listening to us, but no, we're excited to see this. It'll be, the only downside is it'll just be for 4 weeks. Like one thing I like about,
now, is it going to be 4 weeks, or are they going to drop like a week in between there? Like every other week.
I don't know. It says, let's see, 12 episode release schedule will be considerably more breakneck for season 2. Each week, 3 episodes will drop as chapters in different points along the timeline leading up to the events of Rogue One, the Star Wars story. So, no, it's going to be 4 weeks of 3 per week. It's going to be quick. We're going to have that real
Rest
and
up,
jabroni.
everybody.
I know. I was going to say, we're going to get real and jabroni picks done, and then we're going to get them adjudicated 4 weeks' time. We're going to know who's the man, who's the bad man. And that's right. I'm weaving it in there everywhere. Just deal with it. But I am excited. I am excited to see this.
I'm glad you are. I can sense it.
Yeah. It's good stuff. Good stuff. Well, that, my friends, is truly a neat and tidy 30-minute on the nose Week in Geek.
Jabroni!
All right. Well, next up is our main event, which we get to Elimination Chamber, which was live and in living color from Toronto, Ontario, Canada, which they had to make sure they gave us the city, province, and the country. Appreciate that.
Toronto, Ontario, Canada. The Rogers Center.
Yeah, the Rogers Center, the former Sky Dome, which it's really confusing when they say the Rogers Center, because Rogers Communications owns like 8,000 arenas in Canada. So when they did the one in Montreal, I believe that was a Rogers Center.
Okay, because I pulled up an old note sheet I used because I took notes on this event.
Yeah.
And I thought it said like Rogers on it. I'm like, that's weird, but it was somewhere else. It was
they own a ton of stuff. So yeah, it's a Rogers Center, but it's the old Sky Dome.
Okay.
Which I don't even think the Sky Dome actually opens anymore. I think it's now permanently shut, which is kind of probably a good thing that they don't call it Sky Dome anymore.
Yep.
But of course, most famously for what was it, WrestleMania 5? The Hogan Ultimate Warrior 6. Okay, thank you. The Hogan Warrior face versus face showdown. It was at the Sky Dome.
It was.
And wasn't there another WrestleMania there too?
That wasn't just face versus face. That was the very first double title match.
Yes,
we had never seen
IC
the world champion against the IC champion with both belts on the line. That made that one extraordinarily unique and must-see TV at the time. And, and it was the two biggest personalities. It was the handing of the torch over to the Warrior, who would then sputter out within less than a year.
Sort of like his matches.
With the little blowed up. Not that I wanted to talk about my win, but
Well, no, but you're also not training for this,
Yeah.
Anywho, so yeah, we're back at the Sky Dome, and I got to say, starting out this thing, we of course had the U.S. and Canadian national anthems, which I saw that and I'm like, oh boy. And then they announced the young lady who was singing was from Canada, and I'm like, oh, this is going to be rushed. And as soon as she started in on the U.S. anthem and the boos started coming down, it was like all of a sudden she shifted up. She went from like second to fourth gear real quick. It was like, oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early? Like she saw the writing on the wall and made it audible quick. I was like, I understand. I get where you're coming from, lady. And then a lively sing along for "Oh Canada," which has always been a calling card for Canadians. Like I think there was one. I can't remember. Was it the U.S. that booed the Canadian national anthem at a hockey game or something? And then the response, it was like a Stanley Cup game. If not Stanley Cup, it was definitely playoffs. And then when
playoffs,
when they went back to the Canadian city,
the
dude started singing "Oh Canada" and then stopped after like a one line and basically just held the mic up, and the entire arena was singing so loudly, like he didn't need to sing. It was like goosebumps watching that. It was crazy. But anyways,
was he a bad man?
He might have been. Okay. I think he was that night. So on the call here we have Michael Cole, Pat McAfee, and Wade Barrett. Now you tell me this, because it feels like they're trying to make Pat a heel commentator but it doesn't really feel like it's taking. Like he's not committing, and he's not that guy.
He can't be a heel commentator because he comes across with the best witty lines as things are going, where you're you can't help but laugh at what he says.
Sometimes it's too much. Sometimes I wish there was a volume knob so you can bring Pat down a little bit. But hey, the other part is like he makes Cole laugh so much.
Yeah.
That it's like, and it's obvious because there's times when it'll just be dead air after something that McAfee has said, and you can tell Cole has hit his cough button because he's laughing.
Yeah,
it's like you can't be the heel commentator and make the face commentator laugh. It's just not allowed.
Bobby Heenan did the same. He was a famous heel announcer, did the same thing, made people laugh with his ridiculousness.
Yes.
But Bobby Heenan was being, like, you knew he was being over the top evil. You knew he was saying just ridiculous things because that's just what Bobby did. Pat actually, I mean, the things he said, like, I can't help but laugh at some of the stuff. I think I wrote down some of the, like as I go through my notes, I'll read out some of the lines that he threw out there, because he just comes up with some zingers. No, he's not trying to roast anyone. He's just calling the action well. And the thing I love about McAfee too is there's a genuineness to his reaction to things sometimes. You know, when JD McDonough had done that crazy move off the, to the outside and, just racked his head,
brain busted himself.
McAfee was like, I mean, both he and Cole were concerned, but you could tell McAfee was like, he's played football.
Shook.
He knows when guys get hurt, and he's just like, holy crap. Like, I mean, he was just beside himself. So he brings a genuineness to it that is somewhat everyman in a way, because it's just like, okay, this, like, I can relate to what he's saying, because if I was on commentary, that's probably what I would have said, like,
yes,
like he doesn't feel so like Heenan was so out there that it's like, okay, you're a character and I'm never going to play a character like that. But with McAfee, it's like I said, if someone handed me the headset, say, hey, we want you to call this, that probably to some degree would be what I sound like, you know?
Yeah. I just wonder, because it feels like they're trying to, like, the whole thing with the national anthem and all that, it made me feel like they were trying. I felt a few things like where they're trying to kind of almost have him heel it up, and I'm like, no, that's not him. If you want a heel commentator, get Corey Graves.
Right.
Corey Graves is really good at that.
Yep.
You know, or even Wade Barrett. Wade Barrett is really good at that. Pat McAfee is not a heel commentator. He's just not.
Yep.
You know, which is fine. I actually kind of dig the dynamic between Cole and McAfee, where you don't have the heel face. It's just the commentary booth. You don't necessarily need that, I feel. But then again, maybe I'm just scarred from too much, Jerry Lawler back in the 90s and early 2000s.
Yep.
But anyways, first up is the women's Elimination Chamber match, which, I mean, this was kind of obvious that this was going to be the first one. And so let's just kind of run down what we had here. We had Alexa Bliss come out first, followed by Roxanne Perez, Bayley. Man, I got to say, the note I had here was maybe it's just the mix, but the crowd does not seem that loud, really. I don't know what it was, but it seemed like it got better later on. Maybe it was the mix and they corrected. But anyways, and then Bianca Belair comes out next. That completes our 4 that are in the pods. That means we'll have Liv Morgan and Naomi to start things off. And, well, maybe not.
Oh, my.
Before we even get a lockup, we get Jade Cargill's music, ladies and gentlemen. She enters the cage, looks to go towards Liv, swerves, and goes after Naomi, and proceeds to beat the ever-loving hell out of her. Bianca Belair freaking out in the pod, which was strange, but yet at the same time, I was like, it was kind of compelling. Like there was this part of this where they're like, this is kind of uncomfortable.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And it made sense because she can't leave the pod. Her pod is, I mean, she can't leave her pod. Someone could have pulled, like, I was fascinated by the fact that there were people who were standing outside of the cage, pulling these panels back and forth to let them in and out. Not to mention later on, I just want to point out, CM Punk doing a little home improvement in his pod because apparently there was a light that kept falling. And I think,
a little Home Depot thing.
Yeah.
There.
I don't know if I sent that to you or not on Instagram.
No, but you might have. But I saw it. It was like CM Punk versus the Light.
Yes, I mean, and what was
and John Cena was pointing across the thing to him. He was like, when he finally fixed it.
But yeah,
those guys are just enjoying themselves way too much. Like, you know that there's a thing going on here, right?
But no, I feel like Bianca's reaction was what it needed to be. She needed to overreact being in a pod like that. She had to be screaming loud. She had to be over emoting so people could see how upset or not upset she was. Was she cheering or was she really upset?
I don't know. We'll see. But
everything's coming up Bianca lately, and she seems to be very happy about it. So, but Cargill, holy moly, did she lay a beat down on Naomi?
Well, so when she came out, the first thing I thought of was Mick Foley when he talked about how when some guys come back from injury, they're jacked and they've hit the gym. He's like when I come back from injury, I had the decency to look like I had been injured and just laid up. And I'm like, I don't know if that's exactly what people are thinking, Mick.
Yeah,
but
I ate one too many Italian subs.
Respect. Jade Cargill came out looking like she was carved out of stone.
Oh yeah.
Which I mean, that's her normal state anyways, but I mean, even more so. Maybe it's just because I haven't seen her in a while, but she came out and I was like, she is an action figure sprung to life. It's remarkable.
Yep.
And it makes everything that she does look that much more devastating because you're like, yes, of course, this person is going to break you in half. It is a female version of Yvonne Drago, and she will break you. Yeah. So she goes and she slams Naomi in the chamber door.
Oh, that was vicious looking, dude.
Yeah. Although, I mean, they did a great job of managing to put a stop or something in there because there's no way that they could do that for real.
Right.
They did a great job of gimmicking that and shooting it so they made it look good.
Yeah.
Stretch her out for Naomi. That counts as an elimination for no one in particular. and then of course Bianca has to come out. And is immediately gifted an ass kicking from Liv.
Yes. Yep.
And then from there, like it's amazing, like how this one they did a good job. I felt of differentiating the two chamber matches, because here it became like a 5-for-all. Like there was no eliminations after that, and we had everybody involved.
Yep.
I mean so let's see here. I had a nice side Russian leg sweep into the cage by Roxana Perez.
Mm-hmm.
That looked good, and I was like, it's one of those old school moves that I always kind of geek out for, where I'm like, hey, I remember that, or like even a drop toe hold or something. Like,
yeah,
I don't know why, it just always makes me go, cool. I love how Bailey shows restraint, not using Bianca's braid as a weapon, and then just immediately punches her. Like, okay, I will not use your braid to my advantage, but boom, take that back from you.
Yes,
that was kind of cool. I loved how after Bliss comes out, Bliss is going all Ralphie on Farkas on Liv and Roxanne.
Yes, I wrote that down too.
I could almost picture her like RZA fucking.
I love Alexa Bliss's fists of fury on her prone opponent. That was phenomenal.
And there's one great clip that someone has put on Instagram where the poor camera guy is in the ring, and Liv is trying to get to the cage, and she's like, just get that frack out of my way or something like that.
Yeah.
And of course she didn't say frack, but the delightful little pixie that is gentle little pixie that is Liv Morgan.
Yes.
Which is what I do love about her, because if you were to see her, like, and I love the CM Punk thing where you go back to the Ari the MMA guy that where Punk did the interview, like the hour and a half.
Yeah. Ari Helwani.
Yes. When he talked about, like, he was on the plane with all the WWE cats, and Liv was helping him find his AirPods because they fell out of his pocket while he was sleeping. And she's like, everybody else is off the plane, and she's down on the floor looking for my AirPods. And I'm like,
jeez.
And I'm like, I look at her, I'm like, outside of a wrestling ring, I'm sure she was probably like the sweetest person ever. And then you see her, like, at work, and it's like, good Lord, she's the devil.
Son, we're in hell.
Yes. We don't get an elimination until Liv takes out Bailey. The thing is, I want to get your opinion on this. I don't feel the camera angles inside the ring did any favor for the ladies. It felt like for whatever reason, it really showed a lot of the waiting for moves and a lot of kind of the slower steps that they were taking at times, like in order to like make things match up. I felt like maybe it was and I don't think it's anyone's fault in particular. I felt like it was mostly like it's kind of an off start for the night for production.
Yeah.
But did you notice any of that, or was that just me?
I'm looking at my notes. If I had noticed something like that, I usually put something in about, clunkiness or things. I didn't really have a lot of that. I mean, I think, part of the story was Belair being kind of thrown off, initially because of the attack on Naomi, and I thought she played that well. I don't know. I mean, I felt the action was pretty good overall.
Okay. It might have just been me, honestly.
Yeah.
Like I might have just had a little bit too high of an expectation, so I might have been nitpicking.
But after that elimination comes the hair whip heard round the world. Good Lord.
And the sell, but then also like the actual, like the show of like, that just happened. Okay.
Yeah.
Ouch.
Well, not only that, but then just like she basically like cheese grated herself down the side of the wall of the elimination chamber.
Oh yeah.
And I don't know if you saw like she had posted pictures. I think it was like the next day or something like that. And I mean, she's just marked up all over. Like it was like, oof.
Yeah. I mean, if this was an ECW crowd, like she's hardcore. She's hardcore.
Oh yeah.
I love there was a moment when I forget the exact exchange. I only got the very end, but it was like talking about like someone had just knocked someone to Saskatoon.
Yeah.
And Cole or Pat said that, and Michael Cole's like, that's a long way away, and Pat was just like, Canada's big.
Yeah.
End of comment. And I was like, it was such a Pat Summerall sort of John Madden moment, like, back to you, John.
Yeah.
3rd and 10.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.
Oh my gosh,
that was good. That was. Good.
I thought it was great how everyone spam finishes Roxanne Perez just to eliminate her. Like, let's just get this. Like, you know what? F her in particular.
Yep.
Everybody hit one on her. Go ahead. Here's another one and another one. That was a fun little moment.
I did want to mention Liv Morgan's face of pain appears again, where she's just like,
yeah.
I mean, she looks like she's in absolute agony. It's incredible. Incredible.
Yep. I did note that Liv's three amigos on Bianca actually got some cheers. Again, we're living in Bizarro world. There was actually a decent amount of cheers for heels on this night. I think Canada's just kind of taking a little pride in that one now. They're just like, hey, we did it for Brett. We're not looking back. Let's see here. We got Bliss with the sister Abigail on Bianca. Liv rolls up Bliss and then eliminates her. That was kind of a funny thing, like, because what Bliss went for it on someone else, couldn't get it, then actually got it on Bianca, and then Liv, I think she tried it on Liv, didn't get it, then went for Bianca. Then of course Liv comes up and catches her, unawares, if you will.
Yeah.
I thought Bliss actually looked pretty good in this. Again, like she looked good in the Rumble. I think in this, where there's a lot more scrutiny, because she hasn't wrestled a singles match yet on TV or anything between Rumble and now, has she?
I don't think so.
But I thought she looked great. And I mean, it's one of those deals where you're like, yeah, you kind of forget, like, yeah, she's a major effing star.
Mm-hmm.
Just what she does, and people buy into her. What else we have going on here?
I wrote, I appreciated the use of Belair's hair toward the end, the way Liv was like, whipping her off the ropes on the outside. So she's holding the hair for our viewers, and she basically is pulling Bianca by her hair against the ropes outside of the ring, and then pushing her.
Yes,
so bouncing her off the ropes into the cage, and doing it over and over and over again. And it was just, it was really quite.
It was
ingenious.
comedic, but at the same time, it's like, it's one of those things you're like, oh, that's going to sting after a while. Like after the second, third time, you're like, ow.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, even if you're doing this as safely as possible, ow, still. Yeah, that was great. Let's see here. We get a code breaker by Liv, spear by Bianca. We only get a 2. Bianca,
which I did not like, by the way.
Yeah.
I believe they are killing the code breaker move now. They used to be a finisher well, I think Jericho made it a finisher at one point, and then other people adopted it.
Yeah.
And now it's just like it's like the DDT. DDT used to be like the killer move, and now everyone does a DDT of some kind, and it's like, a transition move in the middle of the match. So
yeah, that kind of sucked.
So boo on that. I did not like Belair getting right up from the code breaker and then going into a spear. I was like, come on now. Sell it for a little bit. Sell it.
Yeah, I agree. That was a little lame. But they made up for it then by Bianca swinging Liv's head into the pod and cage, like alternating, like boom, boom, boom. Which, look, I mean, I'm like, yeah, she's protecting herself, but still, Bianca with a friggin' 450. Holy hell! Is there anything this woman can't do?
Nope.
Like, seriously? We get a series of reversals. Bianca gets a KOD on Liv. We get Bianca Belair winning the women's Elimination Chamber match, and she gets to go on to WrestleMania.
And the man they called Tim smiled greatly.
Yeah, okay. I thought and of course we get a meet up with Bianca with Rhea and Io at the entrance, because it was going to be either facing Rhea or Io because of their match on Raw on Monday. Maybe we'll get to that later. Bianca Belair takes it, and you did predict this one. I went with Alexa Bliss, and I was wrong, and I'm going to sit here in my wrongness and just be wrong.
Thank you. I appreciate you doing that. If I had a cap, I would tip it to you, sir, but I don't.
Well, there's one right behind you, but I don't want to make you spin because you might pull a hammy.
All right. So, what did you give this for a star rating, sir?
I don't feel like it. I feel like you need to get to a certain point to really break into that 4 category. I thought it was a solid match. It's definitely not average, for sure. I do feel like the beginning was. I feel like there was a little glitchiness at the beginning. The last 15 minutes really made the match for me. I think I had this rated right. 3.25 stars feels right for me on this one.
So that was what you gave it?
Yeah, I'm going to give it 3.25 stars.
No, not. Is that what you sound like you're giving it the
Yes.
rating now? What was the rating you gave it the night of the event?
I gave it 3.25 stars.
All right, I'm just making sure.
Yeah.
So 1 point for you because you were so you did exactly what you chose. So I ended up giving it 4 stars. So I was 0.25 off. So do I not get? I guess I don't get a point then.
Yeah, because I think the point only goes closest to the pin, right? Is that how we were doing that? I
think so. I question your rating, sir. It sounds like you made it up just tonight, but that's all right. All right, so I get to...
Actually, no. I'll go 3.5. The thing is, I actually didn't write down my ratings that night. I forgot to do that. So I'm kind of going by what I feel it was. I'm going to go 3.5. Let's just call that one a tie because honestly, it was better than 3.25.
All right.
The last part of the match really did, because I felt like once of course the Naomi thing was great at the beginning. I felt there was a little meh at the beginning there, but yeah. Now let's go. Let's make that a push.
I'm going to
give yourself the point.
I'm going to double check this for a minute. So 1 point. Okay, yeah, 1 point for the here. I'm going to copy this. I should have copied this from the last time. All right.
The rules.
Bring this
rules.
Over.
There are no rules.
So 2 points for a correct winner. 1 point for the closest to predicted star rating. Only one person gets awarded.
Okay.
And 0.5 points for a correct side bet.
Yeah, that's good. We're gonna do some we're taking a hit on those. There might be no winners for side bets.
I was a wee bit too specific on mine. I was very close, but I was a wee bit too specific.
Yeah.
All right. So let's see. And then okay, so that is the
2-0 for you.
2-0, but now for the side bet portion of this.
Yes.
So I just want to double check here.
I didn't note who took out who.
I did.
Okay.
So
good.
Roxanne did not eliminate Bailey. That was Liv.
Mm-hmm.
I said Jade Cargill shows up to confront Bianca and Naomi. I think I should get 0.5 for that because she did.
I mean, the thing is, you said Bianca and Naomi.
Well, technically, she did. She beat the crap out of Naomi, and Bianca was pitching a fit.
Fine, whatever. I feel like that's you should have undone yourself there by being way too specific. But okay.
And then the Wyatt 6 show up to help Alexa Bliss.
Not needed.
Not needed at all. You, sir, said Roxanne Perez will take out anyone but Alexa Bliss. Roxanne took out no one.
Really? I thought she got one elimination. She didn't get anyone?
So Liv eliminated Bailey.
Mm-hmm.
Alexa eliminated Roxanne.
Oh, okay.
And then Liv eliminated Alexa. There was only 5. And then Belair eliminated Morgan. So
all right. So big skunk for me.
She did not take out. All right. So I got a 0.5 on that side bet. All right. We're off to a roaring start, aren't we?
Whatever.
All right. Let's keep
Oh,
going.
God, this one next. All right, so Stratus and Tiffany Stratton versus Nia Jax and Candice LeRae once again to quote Uncle Corny. Oh, Christ.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the bathroom match where you could safely go use the restroom and not miss anything, really.
My first note in this is Nia's music. If there's only one way, then I'm going to start tunneling. Like, I'm going to find another way. I'm getting the hell out of here. If that's the one way,
oh my God, I almost spit my drink out.
I'll take any other way.
Oh my God. Yep.
I thought it was interesting that that we had now I have to ask you this because I don't know if I had a ton of great notes for the beginning here, but I thought I heard a "This is awful" chant. Instead of "This is awesome," I thought I heard "This is awful."
Oh, you could be correct.
I think I did. And I didn't want to stop and rewind or anything. I didn't want to lose the train of being in the moment. But I was like, I'm pretty sure, which would be such a Canadian chant, like the most polite way of telling someone that you suck. Like this is awful, but I'm sure you're a wonderful, nice person. This is awesome. I'm sure you're a nice person outside the ring. This is awful. Anyways,
that was funny.
So then we have Naya with a weak ass USA chant, which was like,
yeah.
And this is where I just really started going off the rails here, because we had Naya with the weakest, laziest boot on Trish in the corner. Like, honestly, Nia Jax is somewhere between not trying, confused, and absolutely terrible. I really feel like those are the three poles that we are just orbiting around. And it's like she's a ping pong ball, and she just happens to bang off a couple of them. And it's like, oh, that was awful. And she doesn't care. Oh, she's terrible. And she doesn't care. And then, she has no idea what's going on. Bing, 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 bing.
I'm looking for a book that I can open up and just pretend to read while you're going off, because I think I need to leave you this time to vent your spleen, sir.
Well, I mean, the thing is, on the positive side, Trish Stratus did really well.
Yeah.
Tiffany Stratton, I think, did really well. Excuse me. We had a scary moment of Tiffany slipping off the top turnbuckle. You remember that?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Holy hell. That made me cringe.
Yeah.
Glad everyone concerned was okay there. Tiffany does a suplex on a sandbagging Nia. She didn't even try to help get her ass off the ground. Didn't even give a little nothing. Absolutely fracking nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Which is not the first time this has happened. It's not even the only time in this match that it happens. Just sandbagging, lazy, barely competent. Ugh. Then we get a top rope bulldog by Stratus on Nia. Once again, Nia does nothing to help her dance partner, and the move looks like shit. And thankfully, by all that is holy, this is brought to a conclusion by a moonsault by Stratton. Stratus and Stratton win. My note
or
here,
as I like to call it, Stratton.
Yeah, that
sounds like Stratisfaction.
My note here is another miserable showing by Nia, the weakest of weak links in a match that featured a retired wrestler, a C-level worker, and Tiffy. And you're the worst part of that. Ugh. You're supposed to be like a main eventer.
I did have one positive thing to say about Nia Jax.
That she left?
At one point, I felt like she did some good healing when she came out. I think she was tagged in. She walks in the ring and she does something to Trish Stratus, and then she mocks Trish's point the finger. Like, the way she did that, I felt she showed more character and action in that one moment than she has in the entire last year.
And then, to quote the end of The Usual Suspects, it was gone.
It was gone.
Oh my gosh! Like, what the hell? Like, what in the hell?
Yeah. I don't have too much else to add. I will say this match I had the least number of notes for.
Oh yeah, me too. Yeah.
I couldn't really. There was nothing. I kind of had a policy of, look, I'm going to write stuff down that kind of stands out to me. I can't dictate, dictation of the entire match, because we don't have enough time to read all of it. So I want to just get the good stuff. One question I had is, so I know Trish had on the back of her, I think it was on the back of her outfit, 25, which was for 25 years. Stratton had 41, and I wasn't.
I think that was for WrestleMania.
Oh, that makes sense now. Okay,
because she's going to be defending at WrestleMania 41.
Okay, so that's what the 41 is for.
Yeah,
makes sense.
Yeah,
makes sense. Impressive back suplex by Stratton on Jax. She gets her up and does a nice back suplex on her.
But that was another one where it's like Nia did nothing to help her.
Yeah,
nothing.
And then Trish did an amazing bulldog. That was crazy good.
What is that? The top rope one?
Yeah, the top rope.
Yeah,
and
again, she was doing everything right, and Nia basically just went instead
that wasn't
of
on Nia. That was on Lerae.
Okay, the one on Nia was terrible.
Yeah.
I guess I should give Lerae more than a C-level worker. Like, fine. I just don't.
Solid hand.
I guess to
be the good old JR.
Just not a lot. There's not a lot to her character, I guess. I'm probably suffering from the fact that I haven't seen enough of her. But anyways.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. And then after this, we get an interminable break here between promotions, commercials, and then promo packages. And at this point, I noted down, screw the hell out of the copious amount of Rock content. Why the hell does he get this much time for an upcoming segment that'll probably run 15 minutes too long?
Mhm.
Showing where my negativity was at this point. But yeah, there was a lot of this. And this is also something that, like, it just seems like it's kind of creeping into WWE programming with, like, recap-itis.
Mm-hmm.
Just far too much. Like a promo package or whatever, fine. But I mean, it feels like there's just way too much of, like, hey, let's catch you up. Like, come on, man, give the audience some credit. Like, you've got, especially on like Raw and SmackDown, like, you've got so much talent on your roster. You could add another match by cutting like some of this recap stuff by 50%. Easily. But yeah, I was kind of down on the whole Rock Cody thing at this point in the match.
So who did you have for the winner here? So let us see. So you, sir, picked Stratton and Stratus.
I did.
So you get 2 points. Well done.
Mm-hmm.
I, on the other hand, fell to the magic or the curse, if you will, of Jackson LeRae. I thought the heels were going to go over in solid fashion here, so I was wrong. What was your star rating, sir? Although you didn't do any ratings, so you're gonna.
The thing is, like, I so want to do the Brian Zane -5 stars. F everyone in this match. No. I'm gonna give this 1.5 stars.
Okay. I actually gave it 2 on the nose.
Yep, and you know what? I'm willing to cost myself points on this just to say it was even worse than I thought it was going to be. And I thought it was going to be bad. It was even effing worse.
Yep. Well, you get to look forward to Nia at WrestleMania, sir. Let's check out our side bets. Do we have any side? Oh, we didn't do any side bets for this one, and rightfully so.
Because who effing cares?
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to call our first 30-second time out here.
Yes, sir.
And for the pause that refreshes, so I'll be right back.
Indeed.
12 seconds later.
Ah, yes. All right. And now we are on to our 3rd out of 4 matches for this thing. 4 matches and a segment. For this event, and I feel like I've been monopolizing kind of the airtime here, sir. So I knew you were very excited for this match, so I want you to really take the lead on this one, because I've been blabbering and blabbering and blabbering. So if you would, sir, please.
Music, please.
What?
I need some music, and I think you know the music I need.
You're not going to have the music because I have a feeling we've got someone else showing up here, but I'll give you a little bit of the intro.
You can run it at least until she gets up there.
Oh, you done did it now.
Oh, you done did it now.
You done did it now.
Involved, man. They not ready. They don't know what's
They're not ready. They're not ready.
No, they're not.
Y'all ain't ready for this. Y'all ain't ready for none of this. Your boy's a bad man. Then we invading the streets, make them clap a rapper skirt. They be dropping the heat, shock the world. Now I'm standing alone. I flip fools like them clamshell cellular phones. You can't help but nod your head to the track. The water
I love it. I just gave him Kaylin.
Taking it back. Give it to me straight. Ain't no chasing.
All right, she didn't hate it.
That's pretty good. That's actually that's close to a thumbs up. All right, let's get rid of that for here. Ladies and gentlemen, before we get to the next match, of course, I believe we have Kaylin's Comedy Corner coming up here. Do you have any sponsors for this yet? Got to bring in some money here. Bring in some money for good old Dad. Something.
You know we don't got money.
Can you give?
I'm not asking you to. I'm not asking for your personal money. I'm asking you to go out and get some sponsors for this thing.
Get Dad a peek.
I'm trying to build sponsors as it is, bro. I can't build sponsors for this too,
bro.
Yeah, I got broed right there. That's
give Dad a peek. A little.
9:38 p.m. here on the East Coast, and you're listening to Perspectives, and I've just been broed.
I've just been broed.
So
took 197 episodes, but it's been done.
And well, everything's off the boards now. It's just all downhill. So, what do you have to bring to the show this episode?
I don't really have any comedy because it's been so hard trying to find any kind of nerd jokes recently. I don't have a group chat or anything that sends me them or something. I'm not a part of that part of Instagram.
Well, it is tough because we're just watching the disintegration of the world in general. So yeah, it's tough to just find nerdy stuff. It's like, hey, guess what? The apocalypse is coming.
All right, can you translate this for me to her?
Hang on, I've got to relay a mess. Oh, you know what? Why am I even bothering here? This is just becoming how this works now. Here you go.
Hello.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, you ready? What do you call Chewbacca when he has chocolate stuck in his hair?
I don't know what.
Chocolate chip Wookie. All right, let's do another one.
I know. Every week.
My goodness, you look like your father when the way you're holding your brow. It's like nothing changes.
He's saying that we look a lot alike.
Mannerisms.
He says that's how genetics work.
I know he's so good with the sciences. What's a baseball player's least favorite Star Wars movie?
Empire Strikes Back.
The Umpire Strikes Back. Very good. Very good. You got it. All right. One more.
Okay.
Let's see. What did Obi-Wan say at the rodeo?
I don't know, but I can already tell this is going to be special.
Use the horse, Luke.
Oh, yeah.
All right, that's it. I want to at least give you like a couple there. So, all right. How are things otherwise?
Good. I'm having him take over.
All right.
Your humor's not savorable.
Are you tagging out?
Yep.
You're tagging out? Okay, good.
I scared her off.
It's not savorable.
The episode is not savable, according to Kalen.
I pulled Star Wars dad jokes from Reader's Digest. I did.
You're right. It isn't savable. We're done. This is it. I thought we'd at least make it to 200 episodes, but apparently no. We're going belly up right now on 197.
Can I read to you the...
No, you can't. I've got to say goodnight to my daughter because she needs to get to bed.
All right.
Good night. You are not going to stay up late reading, right?
Makeup on. I'm trying.
I was kind of wondering, but I figured that was maybe a choice. You know?
No.
Maybe you're going for an emo goth thing in the morning, like the natural schmear. Am I dim-witted? I mean, there are theories.
Living with two women being brought up by a woman.
Oh my gosh. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that was Kaylin's Comedy Corner.
Yes, it was. The jokes I read to her, if I may, real quick.
Fare thee well. Love you.
Love you too.
Sweet dreams.
Hopefully you gain some intellect with this thorough night's sleep.
Hopefully I gain some intellect. Yeah, that's what everyone's been hoping
Fat
for.
chance. So first joke was, what do you call Chewbacca when he has chocolate stuck in his hair?
I don't know.
Chocolate chip Wookie. The next one. Where'd you go? Oh, there you are. The next one. Hold on. What's a baseball player's least favorite Star Wars movie?
I think I remember this one. The Umpire Strikes Back.
Bingo. And then the last one was, what did Obi-Wan say at the rodeo? Use the horse, Luke.
I have a bad feeling about this burr under my saddle.
Oh, good Lord.
Yep, and this is why Daddy still drinks. Okay, anyways.
Well, I figured she didn't have any jokes. I figured I would bring some jokes to the show.
All right.
You know what I think we need to break out is my Obsessed with Star Wars quiz book.
No, we don't. I think we need to get on to the next match.
I think we need to bring back the Red 5.
I think you need to get a...
Hey, What if I
see
did
me
it?
filtering right now?
What
See
if
the
I
maturity?
What if
Would
the
I have
next
done this
time-
back when we were roommates? No.
The next time we have Kaylin's Comedy Corner and she doesn't have a joke, I can just ask her a couple questions from that book. We won't do a Red 5. We'll just test her Star Wars knowledge. Is she steeped in the ways of Star Wars or no?
Yes, but I have a feeling she's going to have the same reaction that I do after a while, that you're just completely have the game rigged because you have the answers.
I'm just going to read questions. There's no rigging here. It's reading questions to your. Where's the rigging? All right. Ladies and gentlemen, he's still sore from the whooping I gave him.
Jabroni! Tough!
All right. Yeah, so we are, let me pull up my notes here. Where did I put them? Okay.
How many tabs do you have open right now?
I have probably about 10. So
there's like lights dimming in your community right now from all the power that Chrome is using.
Basically. Yeah, just jumping between tabs here. Our next match, ladies and gentlemen. Holy hissed it. Oh my goodness gracious me.
The promo package for this one. Normally promo packages are kind of like, all right, fine, it's a thing. This one? This was like, we've stepped this up a notch.
Oh yeah. This is the unsanctioned match between former best friends Kevin Owens versus Sami Zayn. We are less than a year from WrestleMania 40, where that was like the pinnacle for Owens and Zayn as a tag team. They took the tag belts, the unified tag belts from the Usos, and just had a wonderful. I mean they were the main.
Wasn't that WrestleMania 40?
Right, 40
2 years. Or no, I wasn't 39. I mean, wasn't because last year was the dual main event because they main evented when they wrestled the Usos.
You know what? My apologies. You are correct because they were the main event of night one.
Yeah,
for 39. You're right.
Wow, I actually got like a pay-per-view main event over on you.
I was mistaken, but still. So we were less than
red
2
crayon.
years.
I got to mark this down the calendar.
Less than 2 years.
Yeah.
So yes.
And I mean, the thing is, like, even if you want to go back to like KO cheering on Sammy when he won the IC belt from Gunther.
Yep. Yeah.
100%.
Excuse me. All right. So nice touch having the ref dress different.
And the disclaimer beforehand.
And the disclaimer by the announcer. Yep.
I was wondering how they're going to deal with all that. Like,
I
did have the gloves on, like right from the get go. Like, oh, of course someone's going to bleed. Like, there's no question.
Oh yeah. You and I were chatting back and forth about this. The match lighting was odd, but I did like how it gave the fight a different feel.
Yes,
because it did not feel like a normal match. So, for those who did not see the event, who might be listening to this, the arena lights were down. There was really just a spotlight or set of lights that were on the ring itself. So you didn't see the crowd. Everything was really dark except for the ring. And it just gave it kind of an eeriness, just a different feel than what you're used to in a standard match. Which
like an old school boxing match.
Yeah, which I think is the right thing to do because it should feel different. It's supposed to be, even though it's being contested in the ring and even though the referee is there to just count the pinfall, in a lot of ways it looks like a normal match, And so I think when you do something visual like that and take, the crowd lighting away and it just feels a little bit more like a street fight. And just has, just had a different feel to it. It was a little different at first, but then I got to liking it as the match went on.
Yeah, I would have almost gone a little bit further with this. And like in that disclaimer said, like, this is an unsanctioned match. Therefore, WWE is not involving this in any way. The participants have everyone who's participating in this match has signed a waiver.
Yeah,
to separate themselves from WWE and all that, and therefore, like, it would have been. I think the nice touch would have been no entrance music, like because that's WWE, and it just. I mean, I feel like that would have been weird, like, and weird enough to make it even more intense and uncomfortable, But I understand why you do it.
Yeah,
I get it, but
yeah.
Anyways.
Early chair shots I thought were brutal. Like I said, my notes are just kind of on the high points, but there does come a point in my notes where it's going to get kind of funny. So Sammy brings the chairs in early. Early chair shots are just brutal. Love bringing the hockey stick in.
Well, wait a minute. You remember where? So KO is wearing Sammy out with a chair for the longest time. Sammy ducks. KO hits the rope and then it back off himself.
Yes.
That was lovely.
Yes,
that was lovely.
that was a nice little turnabout is fair play. So, Owens, damaging himself. Do jump in because, like I said, I only took notes about the high points. So if I missed some stuff, I
thought it was it was a nice pop from the crowd for the hockey stick, but I was like, oh my gosh, what's coming next? Are we going to get like a vat of syrup? Like what other Canadian faves are we going to play?
You might have brought a puck and just put it between your knuckles and start beating down on its head.
I mean, it was borderline pandering when he brought out the hockey stick. I'm like, oh come on.
I thought that was a nice touch.
No, it was a nice touch, but I'm like,
see it normally, so
it is borderline pandering to the Canadian crowd.
It is, but hey, thumbs up, cheap pop.
Hey, you know what? It does work.
What else do I got here? Let's see.
I did love how Pat said at one point, the tables they set up and they start out in the arena to explore the space, as Pat McAfee said.
Yes.
Again, why he can't be a heel commentator? Like that was beautiful. That was beautiful.
I know. Loved the visual of Owens choking Zayn out with the hockey stick whilst biting him.
Yes,
that was brutal. I was like, oh my god, they're going for broke here. Brawling in the crowd was great. Just a great brawl.
What about those drink tables?
What's that?
The drink tables that were just conveniently out in the crowd.
Sir, do you want to take over and describe? Because I'm going through my notes. I have a note here of the drink table shot. I just was getting to it. So if you would like to take over, you can.
No, please. I just get excited.
He's overstimulated. There was just so much good action.
It was fan-freaking-tastic.
Oh, this match was just phenomenal.
I'm as giddy as John Cena was in the Elimination Chamber. Like that's how I feel. Like I'm a little puppy. Like,
but yes, I have a note. Nasty table shot with Zayn putting Owens through not one but two drink tables. With at one point, I think McAfee or Cole, yelling out, I think some glasses broke because I think there was like a set of like a triangle of glasses or pyramid of glasses set up, and they all came tumbling down as he goes through it. It's like, oh my god. So it was so off the chain sort of crazy. I mean, it was just crazy.
Now, do you feel like the fact that they don't do really like the hardcore match thing is not a thing anymore, really? Because I mean, this is stuff that we would have seen back in the day, like watching Raw.
Yeah.
Like, I feel that the fact that that's not a thing anymore makes this that much more special.
Yes, it does. And they didn't. I mean, I don't think they went with the trope of someone grabbing a drink and bashing it over someone's head. But I thought at one point Owens was throwing bottles of water at Zayn or something like. I thought something like that happened. Maybe I'm misremembering.
No, I think you might be. That might have happened that night, but that might have happened on Raw because I think that was at one point Rollins was lobbing.
Oh, at Punk. Okay, that's what I'm probably thinking of. Okay,
over the ring.
All right. I did have a note. So I don't know if I'm skipping a bunch of stuff or not, but I did have a note. Damn, Owens putting Zayn through. Oh yeah, so Owens sets up. So Zayn had set up a table on the outside. Yes. Owens pulls out another table, stacks them. So we had two tables that essentially their height was almost the height of the ring post.
Yeah, it was damn close.
And they got back into the ring after brawling outside, and I forget exactly what happened, but I think Zayn ends up on the top turnbuckle, and Owens just pushes him off the top turnbuckle, and Zayn just does this beautiful flip swan dive onto the tables through both of them. I mean, it looks so visually impressive, just through two tables to the outside. Incredible.
If there were a textbook for that sort of thing, like that was textbook. Like that is about the best way you can make that look good and survive.
Yep.
That was lovely. Oh,
that was amazing. That was amazing. And now we get into what I like to call the holy shiznit part of my notes, because I have about 10 notes, 10 bullet points that start with holy shiznit.
Yeah.
Owens with the package brainbuster through the chair. Holy crap. How these two are not somehow causing irreparable damage to one another, I will never know. But my God, did that look brutal.
The thing is, like, I try to think about, like how do you make this less lethal? You know,
Right.
how do you
you
gimmick a
protect
chair?
yourself?
You know,
Yeah.
how do you do this? And I know that you can do some things, but at a certain point, like it's still a chair.
Yeah.
It's still metal.
Oh,
like
yeah.
it's not paper mache.
Yep.
Ow is about as like, oh my gosh. Yeah,
Yeah.
those dudes put themselves through such punishment. And the fact that they were able to do it in a way that is even remotely safe is rather amazing and is such a testament to the trust that these two have with each other.
Oh yeah, 100%.
That you would allow people, because I can imagine, like and the thing is, like I can imagine in some situations, like someone's like, "Hey, I want to do this." No,
Yeah.
not doing that. And there's no one who's going to fault them because it's like you've worked with that person once.
Yeah.
I don't know them. I don't know them that well. you
Absolutely.
know?
Yeah.
So yeah, the fact that these guys did all this stuff is like, holy crap. And then equally as bad was Sammy's suplex of KO through another chair.
Right. Yeah. So I had a note for that. So this one was a holy shiznit, Zayn doing a German suplex to Owens through the chair.
Mm-hmm.
Like, again, to your point, how do you protect yourself as you're going through? I mean, it was just like, unless they gimmick the chair somehow and they were just not like full metal or something.
Well, no, I'm guessing they gimmicked him in terms of like the only way I can think that it works, because you also have to think of like how it looks good, because and this goes to, actually, let me add this in because this should get added to the notes. But like Jim Cornette was talking about on the episode that I talking about. Jim Cornette talking about like production meetings and the fact that AEW apparently doesn't do production meetings for their television, which is stupid. It's more than stupid. It's one of those things. Is like, how? Like, how is that? Like, how does that not happen? This is basic professionalism. But that fact that like you still have to make it look good.
Yep.
And it looked good. So I'm trying to think that through, even as I'm watching the match. I'm like, the only way you can do that is maybe like gimmicking the joints, gimmicking like where the chair collapses easier, so that when you hit it, like, yeah, you're still hitting metal, but the metal has collapsed flat. So at least you're hitting something that is going to become flat sooner.
Yeah.
So that hopefully when you hit the mat, you're still landing on something metal, but it's not this jagged sort of thing. Like it just goes and it crunches, and it's like, okay, you landed on a cookie sheet, which sucks, but hey, at least you didn't land on something that's like going to take out your, C5 and 6. Yeah, that's the only thing I can think of, because they were hitting stuff and you hear the metallic sound, like, unless someone's really good with like Foley sound editing, ouch. Yeah, crazy. Absolutely crazy. And then I love the next segment, or the next sequence, when we get we start getting into Ref Bumperama.
Yeah.
Is that what I like to call it?
That was my next note was, let's see. So we talked about the German, Owens taking out the refs. I thought it was a nice touch, amping up the intensity. And it is at this point.
Well, so hang on. So I love the fact that we get the ref bump. We get a stunner. We get none other than Charles Robertson. Little Nate slides in, gets a 2 count. KO don't like that. KO then clocks Little Nate, and Little Nate is now dead because he was laid out for like the next 10 minutes. Didn't move.
He was done.
He was like Ralphie's little brother. Like he laid there like a slug. It was his only defense.
Yep.
I just thought that was great. It was like, good. Little Nate's got a little work tonight. Good, cool. He gets a little payoff.
And it's at this point that we start to, and this becomes something that happens throughout the rest of the match, but we see Zayn start to test his hands and his arms, really kind of selling the effects of, the neck injury, which I at least appreciated that they brought this into the story, because I thought he came back way quicker than Cody did. And I'm like, what the heck is going on
Randy
here?
too. I mean, good Lord, Randy'd been out forever.
Right. And so I really appreciated the fact that they were at least working that back in, and that, it was
that was throughout. Like he was in a little
not
ways
really till the middle of the match.
Well, I felt like there
because he hadn't had any damage done to his neck, really. Like for the match where they're just punching each other and stuff, it wasn't until he did the brainbuster on the chair and things like that his neck was starting to really become a target that he was going after. Up until that point, it was more of a brawl.
Yeah, you're right.
And so, so just, I thought it was a great touch. And then the call from Cole and Barrett and McAfee was great, as they're, kind of showing concern, just like, God, stop this fight.
They were definitely getting into the JR. My God, somebody stop the match.
Yes.
They were channeling that for sure. And the fact that it was all three of them, and that you're kind of accustomed to like Wade being more of the heelish thing. And they're all at least unified in that, like, this is terrible. Somebody stop.
So now we get into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 straight holy shiznits. Holy shiznit, Owens with the Fisherman Buster through the table, which was just incredible. Like that move where he goes off the top rope and just kind of twists the guy in midair and just drops him down and through the table was just incredible. Holy shiznit, Zane finding the chair, which I absolutely love. He goes under and he's grabbing some more chairs and plunder, and then he stops for a second and he's like he has this look on his face like, did I just see that? And he goes under and he pulls out a chair wrapped in barbed wire. My text to Uncle Todd was Foley in the building, prepping this one? I think so.
The funny part is, like, I forget what I had to do. There was something that there was something that had to do with laundry that I had to deal with that I couldn't. So Kaylin had put in like some bedding and stuff downstairs, and our, when you get a comforter in the washer and it starts trying to walk across the basement.
Yes.
Yeah. That.
Oh,
so
yes.
I had to go downstairs with her and be like, all right, and this is how we fix this, and this is why you have to not have both headphones in, because otherwise, this will destroy the washing machine that you can't buy. So I had to like take time out, and I'm like, it'd be like 2 minutes to do this. I come back up and I'm like, friggin' barbed wire chair. Like, what happened? Yeah, that I shouldn't have gone downstairs then. It's bad move my part.
Yeah.
But that was incredible. Oh my gosh.
That was. What else do I got? Let's see. Owens going, okay, so holy shiznit. Owens going headfirst into the barbed wire chair, and then his selling afterwards was top notch. Like, literally, like, I forget if it was a drop toe or what it was, but he just goes headfirst into that chair, and all of a sudden you hear, oh, and he's just like grabbing the side of his face, and the selling he did was just unreal. It was like he just got shot in the head, and he was reacting to it. And you know what? As one might probably feel when barbed wire hits close to one's eye.
Yes.
So, yeah.
I had an incident of nearly poking someone's eye out, and I still think of it to this day, and it troubles me.
Yeah.
Like it.
The eye is not something to be messed with.
No, there's no replacement parts for that yet. What did you think about the blue thunderbomb onto the barbed wire chair?
I thought that was incredible. That was
The fact that it only got a 2 count.
The only that was the other holy shiznit was going through the blue thunder bomb through the barbed wire chair was just sick, just absolutely sick. The way he just decimated that chair was incredible. And the crowd was just, I mean, so I love the way they ramped the crowd up, because when the match started, it was kind of standard brawling, and I'm just like. And I'm always kind of interested to see, like, okay, like, how are they going to now like hook us in? And then before I know it, I'm just enthralled with the match, and I'm like, oh, they've hooked me, because I completely am not thinking about how are they going to transition this into being, an interesting match. It is now an interesting match. Owens with Zayn's head in the chair and then ramming it into the ring post was sick.
So actually, and before that, just after the blue thunderbomb,
yes,
there was a "This is awesome" chant by the crowd.
Yes,
and Cole said, this. So you hear like, "This is awesome," and Cole's like, "This is sickening." I was like, you know what? I used to hate Michael Cole. Like, he used to grate on my nerves, and now I'm like, this dude, like, he is the voice.
Yeah,
and he contributes so much now.
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
Has earned his stripes, and is kind of like earned that, like, the elder statesman of commentators for sure.
Yeah.
It's such a great moment there, because I mean, I can't imagine that you're planning on that.
Yeah.
And for him just to kind of react that way, I'm like, oh my gosh, that's such a JR thing.
Yep.
Good on you, Cole. Good on you. But yeah, oh my gosh, and then
then we get to the move I was hoping Owens was going to break out in this match, because it is just devastating. is the Owens power bomb on the side of the ring. The way that he does that,
it just looks so painful.
I almost wonder too if they like kind of specially pad the ring around that area. Like there's apron over it, so you can't tell. But I did find their positioning interesting because I could see how they would maybe pad it up a little bit so it's not so devastating to the shoulder region. But
well, and I mean the thing is, you could have actually gotten away with that a little bit more at this event than others, because they had the traditional old school draped ring apron.
Yes,
like
yes.
the not the apron, but like the banners on the side, because and the old school ring posts. Like this is, in a way, it was very old school because it was none of that LED stuff, because you had to be able to drop the Elimination Chamber on top of that.
Right.
So you just had the old school, like, here's a silk, whatever, screen printed thing.
Because like there was a point in the match where he's getting ready to set him up, and they moved in a certain way, and I was kind of looking at the ring, and I'm like, I wonder if they have it padded up in a certain just along the side there, so that when he goes in, because when you see how Zayn takes it, he's always taking it across the shoulder blades pretty evenly. So if you had it padded up, it's not gonna, I mean, he'll still whiplash, but I mean, overall he's kind of protected that way because he did 2 of them, and they're out. I mean, when Owens first debuted at NXT, and so that was the night Sami Zayn finally won the NXT title. His friend, comes down to congratulate him, and then as they're walking back, that's when Owens just throws him down onto the ramp, picks him up, puts him in the power bomb maneuver, and power bombs him. And at the time, the side of the NXT ring, no padding that I could see. You know what I mean? Like it looked freaking brutal when he did it. And,
well, I wonder too.
Blows your mind when you see it.
I wonder too where it's not the distance, because I mean the thing is, like, if you think about. And here we are getting into like the biomechanics of this, and I'm so unqualified to talk about this because I barely am able to lift crap in the gym. But I mean, I wonder if the fact you're not taking him all the way to the what's that?
I thought you bench 195,
190. That was a PR, and I could not do that right now.
Right.
I still got 15 to go before I can hit body weight. Nice. But still, I'm at least in the neighborhood. But I wonder if because you're not taking him all the way to the floor, because as you know, like here, you can control a bit more. Yeah. It's not as far, but if you have to go all the way to the floor, like how much can you really control once you get past that point of like almost no return as you're going down? Like, can you take care of him a little bit better and make it look devastating? Because you're thinking like, holy crap, that's got to hurt on the angle. Can you take care of him a little bit easier?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Or is it just you save that bump for that occasion, knowing like this is going to suck, but it's going to draw money, so I'm willing to do it tonight. Not every night.
Yeah.
I don't know. Wow, but yeah, it does. It looks devastating.
Oh yeah, it's just incredible to see him do it. And so Owens rolls him into the ring. I forget if there was another move that happened, but he gets the pinfall. I just wrote, I had to make a note about this because I picked Zayn to win this match, but the right guy won the match. I thought Zayn, in my headcanon, and I do want to ask you about this, because so let me get past it. Owens pins him. They're checking on him. He's going to leave. He comes back. He starts to pull back the padding to expose the concrete and go for, he wants to go, take, Sammy out. And we get the return of Randy Orton.
Yes, we hear voices in our head.
We do. And, Orton comes down and
taking a sweet ass time.
Oh, he did. He did.
Like, good thing there's nothing going on, Randy. Appreciate it.
And lays a RKO on Owens, and then kind of lines him up for the, breaking out the punt kick again, which, to me was the saddest looking freaking move. And yet they sold it like someone had been shot.
I was wondering what that was, because they were talking about like, this is something we haven't seen in forever. And I miss that era of
it was like in the late 2000s, he, as part of his gimmick, of being unhinged, he would do this thing where he would go and, kick guys indiscriminately in the head, and it would like knock them out. Mm-hmm. Like CM Punk, if you remember from his documentary, famously, he was the world champion. He was going to defend in this like 6-way match, and Orton takes him out with this punt kick, and he was out for the event. Like that's how they wrote him out of the event, was this stupid punt. And when you saw it, you're just like, that took Punk out. Like, And you can tell Randy pulls back on the kick, because what is he going to do? Actually kick a guy in the head, you know?
Yeah.
So it looks stupid, but anyways, he teases it, and they get Owens out of there, and then he proceeds to go and, like, you know, RKO, you know, some ham and egger,
everybody,
you know, security guys and that sort of thing.
Which was great. Which was great because then when they finally gathered Randy, Wade Barrett was like, "Now security does their job," and I'm like, "No
yes,
shit, buddy. Yes, that was way to call. Don't bring facts to this."
100%. Well, okay, so I'm going to bring facts to this for a minute. So phenomenal match.
Yes.
The thing in my head canon, I had thought in terms of Zayn winning wasn't that Zayn, you know, is able to overpower and get one over on Kevin. It was the fact that Randy would come down disgusted with what Owens was doing to his best friend, and the fact that it was, you know, based on his neck, come down and, you know, in some way help Zayn defeat Owens. And then that would kickstart the conflict between Owens and Orton. Instead, they have Orton just return at the end of the match. Now, here's what bothers me continuity wise.
Okay.
If you're Randy Orton, who has suffered from neck injury and was currently on the shelf because of Kevin Owens, and you're watching this match, and you know it's an unsanctioned match, so there's nothing that a referee is going to do to stop you.
Yeah.
And you're Randy frickin' Orton, why would you not go down and just lay into Owens, who's doing something I'm thinking way too logically, I realize, about this. But why would you not do that? You know,
it's wrestling world, sir.
As a way to get back at him, you cost him another match. He loses again.
Yeah.
Further sending Owens into a spiral, so that when they get to WrestleMania, he's just, you know, completely off his nut. And now he goes in against, you know, the unhinged Orton, and now you have the unhinged nut versus the unhinged Orton, and, you know, someone comes out unhinged, but you just don't know who.
Maybe they get rehinged.
Maybe they get hinged. Who knows?
Go all the way around.
But that bothered me just a little bit. Like, and it's not just because I got the winner wrong, but it's just logically speaking.
I love how you work that in there.
Well, I mean, come on, man. You know, you gotta. It's a competition. I wanted to be right, and it pissed me off I wasn't. But it was a damn
fair.
It was a hell of a match, or as Mickey would say, it was a hell of a fight. A hell of a fight, Rock.
Why don't you get up and fight him like that? It was beautiful.
It was beautiful.
I don't want to say a bad word in a holy place like this.
Holy place like this. Yeah. Oh my God. So good.
Rocky 2.
Burgess Meredith, man. I mean,
God bless.
Made the first like 2.5 Rocky movies.
Oh yes,
just made him.
I say we knock his block off.
That's right.
Absolutely.
And the fact that he always talked out of the corner of his mouth. I mean, it was phenomenal.
Oh yeah.
So overall, Owens wins the match. So we both get this one wrong from a winner perspective.
So actually, before we get to that,
okay,
did you love? I mean, so I love the fact that we, you know, of course, I love the fact that Orton stands over Kevin Owens with a chair for like 10 minutes.
Yes.
Apparently, like Randy was just trying to remember, like I've only got like 4 things to do, but I can't quite remember 3.
Yeah.
That was kind of tough. I love the fact that Randy was still selling the neck injury, which immediately brought to I always go to this moment in Madagascar 3, where you know, the penguins are like, you know, no breaks, way to commit, soldier. And that's just the thing I think of there. Is like, oh, that injury was like 3 months ago now. Way to commit, Randy.
That's right.
I love how all the security feeds Randy for an RKO.
Yeah.
And the last one actually looks like he could like maybe pose a threat to Randy, and Randy fakes him out with like a false handshake.
Yeah.
And then RKOs.
That was good. That was good.
I was like, okay, yeah, you know what? You got me there. You earned a point there, because yes, and I agree. You know what you were saying. It is kind of ridiculous, the fact that he waited until this moment, but it's wreshling logic and all that. But it's like, fine, you got a little bit of goodwill from me there.
And even like you said, like his slow walk down the aisle, it's like the guy Zane's about to get pile driven into the cement. I think he would haul rear end a little bit to help your buddy out. You know,
but that is such a wrestling thing.
I know.
It just is. Like, you just have to accept, like, it's wrestling world. It's like with the, you know, it's Star Wars. It's space magic. Yeah. But anyways, please proceed.
No. So neither of us gets points for the winner because we picked the loser.
We did.
So I gave this one, I guessed this one was going to be 4.5 stars. I gave this 5 stars. I don't care if I lose points. This, I originally did 4.75, but I ended up going a full 5.0 on this one because, my God, this match, I don't know that it could have been any more well done. I mean, everything about it was just on the nose, on the money. It was as much of a, blood and guts kind of match as I expected it to be. I mean, it wasn't that both guys were bleeding
Not really any blood
profusely.
and guts. Really?
Yeah,
I mean,
maybe that wasn't the right way to put it, but it was just, it was
it
brutal.
felt like it was. You watch this match and you're kind of surprised that someone didn't have the crimson mask, honestly.
It was brutal. It was a brutal match to watch, and that's what made it so amazing. So I'm going 5.0 stars on this, sir. What are you giving it?
So my problem is I don't know that I've ever given out a 5-star. Because I feel like that is...
What is your rating, sir?
Wow. We're going into litigious. I feel like I'm in the courtroom from A Few Good Men. Did you order the
can't
code
handle
red?
my rating.
Did you order the full code red? I'm going to go 4.75 stars. Because it is as close. I don't know that I can rate this perfect because, again, there are moments where you're like, Randy, how come you ain't coming down quick? There are moments, but for what it was,
But
it is
Randy's not the
damn
thrust,
perfect.
the main thrust of the match, though. Randy is the dressing,
Well, I
the
get
cherry
it.
on
It
top.
still matters. I mean, it was a fantastic Sunday, except there was a little bit of a cat turd on it. I don't know. Like, does that really detract from it? It was only a little cat turd.
Turd's a little extreme here. It's like if you were expecting a cherry and instead you got a grape or something like that. It was a little bit off from what you were expecting.
Well, actually, that's closer to what I was saying. You're much better analogy. The cat turd was a little over the top, but yeah,
cat turd means this is like a Nia Jax production or something. I mean, come on.
That is every Nia Jax match is essentially a cat turd wrapped in like a Butterfinger.
All right,
that's what.
So I was 0.5 off the pace with my pick and what I ended up giving it. You are also, interestingly enough, 0.5 off the pace. So you prevent me from getting a point as I was due, but that's okay. So let's go to the side bets. All right. So
Still kicking my ass in this, I believe.
Here is where I go off the rails because I was too damn specific. Randy Orton interferes to help Sami Zayn win. This was my headcanon. That did not happen. Next,
it's a damn nice story, though, sir. It's a damn nice story.
It's a very logical story
because I had it as well.
Very logical story. A very sad we didn't see this. A golf cart will be employed during the match. That was not the case. I was very upset with Kevin.
Yeah,
I wanted to see a golf cart.
That's his most heelish moment in the entire thing. Oh, well, actually, there was a golf cart. Didn't he like show up in a golf cart like when they were doing like the walk-ins
for the match?
No, for like at the beginning of the event.
Oh, yeah.
Show up in like a golf cart. It wasn't involved in the match, but it was like at least he's kind of keeping that bit alive.
Yeah,
which I do appreciate.
Yeah. This one I don't think happened. Sammy did not pile drive Kevin Owens, correct? But
no.
I switched tabs so I can't see you. I'm looking at my notes.
No, he did not pile drive Kevin Owens.
All right. And this is, to me, the biggest missed opportunity of the evening, given that Owens decided to go and pop some of the referees, is how could we not have the glorious one come down? I mean, how much do you think that place would have just gone ballistic if he
fucking shame, I tell
all
you.
of a sudden appeared as the referee? I mean, it would make completely illogical sense in terms of the story because nowhere has Bobby Roode appeared in any part of Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn. But he is Canadian. He is from Canada.
And that's all we need, ladies and gentlemen, because we are marks for friggin' Bobby Roode in
absolutely
the worst way.
So I was very sad that this one was not realized. No glorious referee.
Do you have any connections where we can get Bobby on the show?
I'll have to dig.
You look through your Rolodex.
I will.
And so I had 3 out of 4 of your.
Unfortunately, you went along with 3 out of the 4. You did not go with the Sammy pile drives Kevin Owens one, but you did the Randy Orton interferes on Zayn's behalf to win. That's the key. That's the key distinction. Not to save his life. A golf cart will be employed during the match. Did not happen, and no, we did not have the glorious one return as an enforcer referee.
Missed opportunity, I say.
Missed opportunity. So we have no side bet point. So this one turned, as great as this match was, this for our picks was a major goose egg right here, all the way around for us.
If that's a price that we have to pay for a match like this, I am willing to pay it.
Folks, go watch this event. Watch this match in particular.
Yes.
It is par excellence in terms of action. So,
français,
français,
Last episode, you're spitting some Spanish. This time, you're dropping some French. Good
Indeed.
Lord,
Indeed.
you're continental like French toast.
Oui. All right, we are on to the main event. Unless you need a bathroom break before we get into it.
Let's see,
point of no return.
Let's call a timeout on this one, and then I'll stay strong to the end.
All right.
3 weeks later.
All right. Anyways,
now we come to our semi-main event.
Our semi-main event. What do you mean?
Well, this was not the main event. We thought it was the main event, and then as soon as this started, I was like,
none of us knew.
Yeah.
None of us knew. We knew we were going to get Cody's soul on a pole, but we did not, and that didn't quite happen, although that happened in a much better way than I think any of us ever imagined it would be.
Yes. But let us talk about the men's Elimination Chamber first, shall we?
Actually, can we play the music to start this? Because the man is in it. The man is in it. Come on.
Hold off.
Come on.
All right. So first of all, we get Logan Paul out first, and he goes back into the entryway, comes back out for the ultimate heel move of waving the USA flag. It's cheap heat, but it's still heat. Then we have followed by Guyliner Taker. Damian Priest. We have CM Punk next. I love how when he comes out and he gets like right towards the cage, he has this expression on his face, like almost like in Top Gun Maverick when he gets into the F-14. It's like, been a minute, huh, Maverick? So like, oh boy, did I really sign up for this? And then John Cena comes out fourth, which means we have all the pods filled. That means we get Drew McIntyre and Seth Franklin Rollins to start things out. I love the moment when, aside from Punk's shenanigans struggling with the lead light bar in his pod, I loved how Punk was cheering on Rollins as he slams Drew into Punk's pod.
Oh yeah,
that was so great. Like
Punk was so animated. Like it was just so much. I enjoy him as a performer, and it's these little things he does. Where, especially when they were doing the entrances and McIntyre is like staring at him, in the pod and Punk's just goading him and McIntyre like punches the pod and Punk's just standing with this grin on his face. Like, you can't do anything to me. It's like, it's those little details that just make him so good. And
he is so psychotically obsessed with like the nuances of the business. It is great. Like, and if we get to the point where we can talk about our Raw cheers and jeers here before we go off, like there is so many deep cuts when he is talking.
Oh,
doing promos and stuff, like the fact that he broke out the like Mussolini and it's like a Jim Cornette thing. Is like, oh my gosh, like you are just having way too much fun. Yeah. Like throwing out the deep cuts for people.
But like you said, when Rollins is just going to town on McIntyre and there's Punk, he's like, more. I mean, he's just like, these are like mortal enemies. And he's like goading him into just continuing to just beat down McIntyre. And it was just, he's like, keep that energy up. I mean, it was just like great.
I don't like you, but I don't like him either. So go ahead, waste your energy and beat the hell out of him. Sweet.
Absolutely.
I'll be in here resting.
Yep. Oh, it's phenomenal.
First one out of the pod is Damian Priest, who is referred to as the Punisher. Really?
Is he?
And Marvel has nothing to say about this, eh? Feige ain't filing a lawsuit. Like, come on. Is there a crossover? We don't know. I love the fact that Priest put Rollins up for the Razor's Edge and then just hurls him into Drew.
Yeah.
That was a nice touch.
That was great. That was great.
We have Rollins and Priest at the top turnbuckle. Drew just yeets them across the ring.
Oh,
which was kind of cool. Oh my God. And then we just start getting into like, I could friggin' just go.
I love the McIntyre powerbomb with Rollins onto Priest.
What about the moment where we have, what was it? So there was a Logan Paul at one point is showboating, and then Priest stands up behind him. They're trying so hard to make Damian Priest into the next Undertaker because that is such like an Undertaker move where they have it perfectly framed. Where here's Logan Paul, and then all of a sudden, right up here, over his shoulder. I'm like, that is so perfectly framed. Like you're totally going for that. I did like the fact that we get the Priest turning old school into a Hurricane Rana.
Yes,
on Drew.
Oh,
that was kind of cool.
Can I just jump back to the start of the match? I thought it was really cool that both McIntyre and Rollins, going back to their match last year at WrestleMania, where McIntyre nailed Rollins with his finisher right out of the gate, if you remember.
Yes.
And he tried that again, and then Rollins tried to get the curb stomp on it. So it was kind of cool, good storytelling to have them both
about that. Good call.
Try to hit their finishers early as they started the match, and then it goes from there. But back to Priest and his old school Hurricane Rana ways.
That was actually cool. It's like, okay, I feel like they're trying to do this, and I mean, what is your thought on this? Like, because I like Priest. They're really trying to turn Priest into like this modern day, like, Taker, which I mean, you can't even say Taker 2.0 because Taker went through like Taker 2.0, 3.0, and 4.0. So now we're on like Taker 5.0, I guess is what you could say. I mean, how do you feel about this?
I'll be honest. I don't know what they're trying to do with Priest right now. I feel like Priest is going to, if there was ever, I've talked about how some of the women wrestlers, it's hard to connect with them because they don't have a strong character kind of story behind them that you can connect with. And I feel like they're trying with Priest being, this person who, came from the streets and kind of worked, he worked his way up to being where he is now. But I don't know. There's just, I don't feel like there's a lot of juice with him right now, and I've always had that feeling. It's, it's not that he's a bad wrestler. It's not that he doesn't do good work, but it's just like, why am I getting behind this guy? I was legitimately last night fired up watching Rollins and Punk go at it. And it's not just because I like Punk, but it's like, it's the story behind why these two are going after each other. It's like Rollins has now robbed something of Punk. Punk is, pissed off for multiple reasons. One, he's not in the main event. Two, Cena, someone who he respected, goes heel and aligns himself with The Rock. And three, he has a history. He has the history with, history with The Rock, where, Rock came back, back when he was champion, and he had to drop the belt, and he was kind of like phased out of the main event picture because of Rock and Cena.
Yep.
And so now with Priest, what are the stories they've built with him? So he was part of the Judgment Day. When he was doing his stuff with Dom and with Finn Balor, I thought that was really good, but it's like, what else is there now for him? And this is where I feel like, what are they going to do with Rhea now? Now that Rhea's not the world champion, what is her story now? Where does she go? So that's where I kind of, want to, I could get into him more if I kind of understood, why is he feuding with someone and why do I care?
Yeah. I feel like, I feel like they probably pulled him away from Judgment Day a little too soon, but I feel like they did that because they needed to get Rhea out of Judgment Day.
Well, and they jerked him around where he was supposed to be this babyface champion, and then he's being a heel. He goes back with the Judgment Day, and he's acting like a heel.
Yeah,
it was such a weird. Like they treated him so weird. Now the story going into WrestleMania could be interesting because it's now going to be Priest facing the guy who he stole essentially the world title from with the Money in the Bank briefcase, and he just keeps getting one over on Drew. He keeps getting one over on Drew. So, I could see that being, interesting, but, overall as a performer, I don't know. I'm just not, part of me is a little nonplussed by him at times,
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. Cause I feel like that's where I'm at with him too.
Yeah.
But hey, next out we have John Cena coming in, who gets a big pop so that he saves the day. And he just lays waste to everyone. We get a 5-knuckle shuffle and an attitude adjustment on Logan Paul. Drew comes in with a Claymore. Priest rolls up on Drew.
Yes.
Drew gets eliminated, which is again tying to what you did. Keeps getting a freaking one up on him. Then
McIntyre throws a fit, which I absolutely love.
Claymore throws McIntyre throws a Claymore on Priest before he leaves. Then of course Paul frog splash from top of the pod.
Yes,
which I believe is Punk. It was Punk's pod, and Punk was just like, "You don't want to do that," sort of thing.
Yeah,
and then he eliminates Priest. Punk's in last, lines up with Paul.
Well, not just lines up with Paul, but I love when he came in. He was yelling at the guy who's pulling the panel.
It's me.
He's like, it's me. Open the damn pod.
Well, no, he said it's me. It's me. Open the effing door.
Yeah.
Which I was like, that is great because again, it goes back to Liv, like F out of the way.
Right. And I mean, just came in with some great fire on Paul. I loved the intensity with him and Rollins, and then Punk eliminates Paul. That was great.
Yep.
And then I love the stare down between Cena, Rollins, and Punk, which then goes into my holy shiznit bullet point here that I texted Uncle Todd about. We get a heart attack finishing maneuver by Cena and Punk on Rollins, which I was just like, that is awesome. Heart attack again is the Hart Foundation's finisher, where one guy, so Cena's holding Rollins up with Rollins kind of chest in his face, and Punk runs off the ropes and does a high clothesline, which catches Seth Rollins, and down he goes. So that was phenomenal.
Before that, though, I thought it was great how we had the Cena Rock, Cena Punk showdown. Cena is so barely concealing a smile.
Yeah.
So and then Rollins blindsides Punk, and at one point we had like Punk and Cena, like you have that triangle showdown, and then Punk and Cena were sort of like, you want to take this? Yeah, let's get this guy. That was great.
Oh yeah, and the look on Rollins' face, like, oh, what you guys doing?
Yeah, like, no, you can't do that. I love how Rollins and Cena are punching like a couple of drunks on Causeway Street. Paul, yeah. We get Punk, Cena, and Rollins, and we get the stat of 26 world championships combined, which was kind of cool.
Crazy.
The heart attack was, oh my gosh, so good. I love the fact that we get the Cena Punk showdown.
We get the handshake and hug of respect.
Yes, it went for the handshake, and then Punk goes in for the hug, and then they just start punching.
Yes,
which I was like, that is so great. Like, all right, fine, we got that out of the way. Now let's just punch the hell out of each other. Cena and his friggin' hamburger helper hands. Like, that dude looks like he just has catcher's mitts for hands. What the hell is going on there? I just noticed that, and I'm like, what is happening here? We get the GTS attempt reversal into a GTF?
Or a GTF? What do you mean?
One of Cena's 5 moves of doom.
Are you talking about the STFU?
Yes. Okay, that probably.
Okay.
Yeah. Then we get the reversal in the Anaconda Vice.
Yes.
Punk with a swinging neck breaker. Oh my gosh! Again, just warmed my old school heart. Like a swinging neck breaker. Oh, in this day and age. Oh, it's lovely to see. Cena powering Punk up onto his shoulders from the mat is absolute fracking mad. Just like powering him up and then tossing him over his shoulder.
Yeah.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, I was inspired today when I was yesterday when I was at the gym, because I was going to do some squats, and I had to take the bar off to adjust, the pegs and all that to get at the right spots, so I get under the bar, and I had the bar down on like the safety bars or whatever you put there to make sure, like, if you have to bail on it, you don't crush yourself. Mm-hmm. So I had the bar down there, and I picked the bar up, and normally I would put it up on the pegs, then get under it for the squat. And I decided, well, it's just empty, and I just want to make sure I'm testing my form. So I take the bar and I bring it up, and then I just go straight over my back, like John Cena did with CM Punk, a human being.
Yeah.
I did that with a 45-pound bar, and I was like, shit. John Cena's strong. Like, he ain't just strong. He has strong. He just like yeeted him over his shoulders like it was nothing. And I'm sure Punk helped a little bit, but you still had to take a dude who's almost 200 pounds and just be like, from front to back and here. Like, come on.
Yeah.
Absolute madness. Attitude adjustment gets 2. Rollins, with his shitty ass pedigree. I do not like Rollins' pedigree. It just looks crappy compared to Triple H. We get a 2 there. I love Punk coming off the top rope with a macho elbow.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I love that. Love it. We get a GTS to a buckle bomb to a stomp, and that gets a 2. Like, what?
Yeah.
And then we get
some of those near falls. I'm kind of like, do we really need to do this for everything?
I mean, in hindsight, I say that. In the moment, I was into it.
I get it, but yeah, there comes a point where you're like, well, how do you put someone away? One of those things. But
yeah, we get a GTS to an attitude adjustment. Punk pins Rollins. Now we're down to Cena and Punk. We get another handshake, which then goes to a quick go to sleep.
Yes,
2.
Yep.
Attitude adjustment gets 2. Rollins comes in, stomps Punk from the outside. It was so telegraphed though, because they hadn't closed the door. It took so long, and the door was open so long. Then we go right into the SDFU, and Punk passes out as Rollins screams "Die" on the outside, which I was like, okay, that's a bit much. Like, there's something very Stephanie McMahon about Seth Rollins' voice when he gets into that register. It's like,
I loved it. I absolutely loved it because it is.
I'm just like, ugh.
I just want to see if there's anything else. Let's see, Rollins. Oh, I don't know if you touched on this. Rollins throwing Cena through the pod, I thought was cool. That brought a nice little viciousness to it. That was just before the pedigree. Yeah, macho elbow you talked about. Yeah, the near falls. I mean, it wasn't like in the middle of the match I'm thinking, oh, why are they doing this? But there comes a point with some of these finishers where it's like,
are they really finishers?
What? Yeah, like at what point do you finally put the guy away? And what was it about the curb stomp? I mean, I guess you could say it was because it was on the outside of the ring when Punk was draped over the ropes.
Yeah.
When he did it, that okay, he knocked him out that way, sort of thing. Which I absolutely love Cena's face. He's like, "Eesh, I got to get on this." I actually gotta. Sorry if you had said that, and I
first hinted at what was to come.
Indeed, and. But I really loved Rollins' reaction because this plays to, and this is what I'm curious about, as we see the progression of WrestleMania, did Rollins actually, deny Punk the main event that he is seeking? Are we going to find, because here's what I think is going to happen, even though they're in the cage next week, which I know I'm
spoiling. Are you saying there was maybe some cahoots engaged?
No, there may be some cahoots coming up.
But was Rollins in cahoots with the final boss? Do you think?
Possibly, maybe. Who knows? Could be. Where I was going with it is, are we going to see Roman Reigns start to interject himself into this? Because Rollins took out Reigns at the Royal Rumble. And so I'm kind of curious if, I had seen rumors that maybe it would be a triple threat between, Punk, Rollins, and Reigns. And would that be enough to claim the main event spot for, like night one, potentially? Now, we have Gunther and Jey Uso, but Triple H has already said the main event's going to the match that the people want to see.
Yeah.
So,
well, but then again, I mean, Jey Uso is over.
I know
so much.
I know.
It defies logic for me, but it is what it is.
It does.
Yeah. So needless to say, John Cena, winner of the 2025 Elimination Chamber match, and will go on to face Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania. And how did this one shake out for us?
Oof. All right.
Not well.
We both picked Punk to win, so we both get a big goose egg on that one. Our winner picks this time around were not even close to being
absolute shite.
Respectable. What was your star rating? What's that?
I thought you were going first, so I was going to.
Oh, sorry, I can go first.
I can.
I gave this a 4.5 star. Yes, no, yes. Last week when we did our picks, I picked 4.5 stars. When I watched the match and then rated it, I also gave it 4.5 stars. I thought it was a very well done Elimination Chamber, had a lot of really good moments, had a intensity to it that I thought was really good. And just the towards the end with Rollins, Cena, and Punk, like that was just great action from all of them. Very fluid, just everything just fit. Great story. I mean, all of it was just right on the money. So I had to go with 4.5 on this one. You, sir, had guessed 4 stars. What was your actual rating?
I'm not willing to rate it as high as the KO Zayn match, but I think it was definitely better than what I thought. I'm willing to give this one 4.25.
All right.
So you win this one, sir.
Thank you.
But yeah, no, it's kind of amazing to me. Like, aside from John Cena's barely concealed glee,
yes,
and just like, oh my gosh, I'm doing this thing. He was like a golden retriever in that match. It was kind of, but it worked. Like, because it sold the character, it sold like, oh my gosh, I get to do this one more time, sort of thing.
Yeah.
But dude, he looked fantastic.
Oh, he did.
And granted, we've only seen him now in like. We have not seen him in singles matches, recently. But he has looked really sharp.
Absolutely.
I mean, he's maybe not as strong or as sharp as he used to be, but I mean, my God, for where he's at in his career, he looks really good.
He looked good.
So yeah, no, that was better than what I expected.
All right. So looking at our men's Elimination Chamber surprises, we had Damian Priest eliminates Drew McIntyre. So you, sir, get 0.5 because I do believe that happened, correct?
Yes, it did.
That was your one and only. That was your only side
bet. That's it.
Good God Almighty!
I make them count.
Oh, well, you got a whopping 0.5 on this match. And then let's see, what did I pick? Roman Reigns shows up to take out Seth Rollins. That did not happen.
Yeah.
And LA Knight shows up to distract Drew McIntyre. That did not happen. So I will have a goose egg on the side bets, but I come away with 1 point for having the star rating.
Mm-hmm.
All right. We're not going to do any ratings or guesses for what wraps up the event. So we will tabulate once we talk about what happens at the end of this match, because now that John Cena has won, the cage is lifted. We get Cody Rhodes' entrance music. He comes out, does the and
he was all in black, which had me wondering, like, is there subtext going on here? Like,
they probably wanted you to think that because he's in the heel black sort of thing. But comes out, and then, of course, we get the final boss. Not to be upstaged, though, by Travis Scott, who comes out, and
we get 5 seconds of the final boss music, and then we get Travis Scott, which I'm like, so he came out and he's just drinking Red Bull. Okay.
I texted Uncle Todd, I don't think he can sip enough from that can he's holding. Like, the guy was like, just like,
yeah.
I mean, I'm just like, dude, just guzzle it. Be done with it. I mean, like what's with the baby sips here? Come on now. For crying out loud, you're at an event. Represent. Dress for the job you want.
Then we finally get Rocky come out, and he does his Goosebumps routine, which I am so over at this point.
Well, I think Punk addressed that very nicely last night on Raw.
That was so good. So good.
Bullshit.
Yeah. I love how Cena's looking bored, waiting for Rock to get into the damn ring, and I'm like, I know exactly how he feels.
Yeah. It was a long entrance. Oh,
what'd you think about Rocky wearing Elvis's black bell bottoms for the comeback special? What'd you think of that?
I love how he had the jacked up collar. Like he just looks like over the top goofy.
It was like Rock crossed with Elvis. Yeah. I noted down, we're 10 minutes into this thing and getting nowhere yet. Frack me. Yeah, I thought it was interesting. Again, then we get into the beginning of this thing, and Rock's dialogue felt so stilted, and I'm like, this is one of the greatest talkers in wrestling ever. Like, what's going on here? And I'm trying to decide if that was part of the plan, or if that's just where we are with Rock now. Mm-hmm. Like, this is just because now he's like, oh, I'm an actor. I don't know what it is.
Well, there's something else he does later on that I have to severely nitpick on, but go ahead.
Yeah, and then of course we get we get the he grabs Cody by the side of the face, which I mean at this point I'm like, why is HR not stepping in? Like this is uncomfortable for everybody. Like this is Uncle Touchy coming out to the ring, and it's like what is happening? He's like bawling the man on national television, and there's nary a complaint. This is not the Attitude Era anymore, Rock. You can't do those things.
Yeah.
And the thing that was going to me, like, where it was taking so long, my first initial thought was like, why is this taking so long? Like, what leverage does Rock really have on him? There was like, there's no real build on this. That was like the one big thing in here that again felt like another course correction of like, we're going to do this thing differently because it's like, there's no leverage. Like, what does Rock have on him? At least if he played the whole, I'm the board member and I can make your life miserable, but they never played that card.
Mm-hmm.
That was like the thing that, for all of the oh holy shit moments later, or one singular shit moment later, is like that saved what was a very thin ankle up to that point. I love how, we then get Cody, I gave his soul to the ring and the people, and hey, Rock, go frack yourself. That I was like, okay, now we're starting to pull out of the nosedive. That felt good. And of course, John Cena doing his golden retriever, routine in the back. And then Travis Scott doing the friggin' sage burning. I'm like, either how high is Travis Scott or how out of touch am I with popular culture? Because this makes no sense to me. Do you get this at all? Does this make any sense to you?
No, it doesn't. And then it's, at some point, you see him as they're in the ring talking and stuff. He's like waving his hands around, and I don't know, it was Michael Cole or Pat McAfee was talking about, he's
burning sage.
Or something. I'm like,
is that his thing?
Why? What the heck? You're in a freaking wrestling ring.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
Yeah. So this is kind of weird for me, like reading these notes in retrospect, because I was kind of doing it as we were going, and so Rock taking way too long to then Cody's response. Cena hugs Cody, and then we get the look between.
Wait. Did you talk about? Sorry if I missed this. Did you say anything about Cody's response to the Rock?
The go frack yourself?
Yes.
Oh,
sorry if I wanted to jump on that for a minute.
And Cody going potty mouth here.
That blew me away. And
Mama Rose is going to be upset. Wash his mouth
I was
out
listening.
with soap.
I was listening to Uncle Corny, and he talks about this and says, "This is what your babyface needs to do. He needs to speak as if the person watching is speaking to the Rock, and this is something that people want to say to the Rock. So when they hear Cody say this, they go absolutely ballistic because and they did. And I thought it was great that they didn't sugarcoat it. I mean, I'm a parent of adults now, so I could care. If I was watching this with a 10-year-old and 11-year-old, I probably would have a different perspective and be like, well, I really didn't appreciate that. But here I am, and here, not having those parental concerns, and I'm like, this is great. This is wonderful. I love it. I thought it was a great moment. I love Cena's overreacting to it as well. Like, being what you would expect John Cena to be. I mean, nothing.
Well, the John Cena we've seen the last couple of years, because he's literally been like a cartoon.
Yes, there were no tells that anything was coming up until what you were about to say, which is they go in for the hug.
Which is and this is the thing. Like I was so pissed that this was going to finish the show.
Yeah.
I was just like, oh my gosh, and it's gonna be another Rock rambling for like 20 minutes.
Yep.
That it's like, what the frack are we doing? And it's probably gonna end with nothing or another beatdown, which is like, oh, okay, yeah. So now you're a heel again because we've gone through this change like 5 times this year. Yeah. And then Cena goes in for the hug for Cody, and then that Rock between the look between him and Rock.
Yes.
And then Cena's face just drops into like this just deadpan.
Yeah. Just dead eyes.
Then, ladies and gentlemen, we're not going to Suplex City. We're going to Dick Kick City. And Cody...
Can I jump in before you get to that, though?
Yes, please.
This is the issue that I have, and I think this is the issue that is going to bring The Undertaker back to whip the final boss's ass one more time. Son, if you're going to give this sign, you do it this way. You don't go up the side of my face and, all of this. Mark Calloway, come back and show him how it's done. Choke slam the Rock and give it to him. Yeah, just right across the throat. I mean, it was just like, Rock, you're an actor. You can't do the slit across the throat.
No, he's not.
Freaking
the thing is, like, Rocky
looked like a cheesy third-rate actor when he did it.
You go back to like Be Cool.
Yeah.
Like when Rock was like, he wasn't,
the up and comer
pounds of muscle, and he was kind of like, he was trying to have his acting chops, and he's playing like this dude who's like, I forget what he was, but it was a gay character who wants to be a country singer, and it was such like a left turn, for who you perceive as The Rock,
right?
Like, he displayed more acting chops than that. Now he is essentially just playing Dwayne Johnson in every episode. He's turned into a muscle-bound Nick Cage. Like, that's who he is. Yeah. So it's like, but he's still thinking like now he's friggin' Brando or something. I don't know. But yeah, that was lame. The funny thing is, it's probably not going to be Undertaker. It's probably going to be Austin, because Austin has remarked that apparently Las Vegas is only like 400 miles from his house, and he's like, I could drive there. I'm like, oh my gosh, because Austin don't like to leave home, and his cats, because I mean, someone's got to feed the cats. Macho and Poncho, just, they need to have their papa around. But yeah, so Cena takes Cody to Dick Kick City, beats down Cody, and then was using Cody's own watch as a set of brass knuckles.
Yep.
Holy hell!
That was effective. I really liked that he did that. That he just grabbed the watch and is like, which goes back to the day after WrestleMania 40, when Rock gave him. Oh, I don't know if he gave him the watch back. Maybe he did, but he gave him something.
Never really mentioned what it was.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Confirmed.
But I thought there was like a watch or something like that.
Well, there was. It was at one point there was a mention of like it was the watch that Dusty pawned, or symbolic of the watch that Dusty pawned.
Yes.
In order to,
and it was given to Cody as a gift. And so I thought that was great. Again, some deep cut there with that. Cena looked vicious. It was phenomenal. I loved what I saw there. I mean, he was just all over him, and he was, especially when he came across him with the belt too. I mean, all I could think of, and I don't know if this crossed your mind at all, but when you see Cody, bleeding out and some of the yellow hair is red, I'm like, oh God, Dusty would be proud.
Oh yeah.
Like, it took me back to the early 80s when he's feuding with Flair and the Four Horsemen and getting the crap kicked out of him, like just a bloody stuck pig. And, his hair was all like red. And, I mean, it was so reminiscent of that. And I'm like, God, this is beautiful.
Oh,
I mean,
Dusty's looking down. He's like, that's my son right there. Yeah.
That's right. Oh, there it is. The American Dream, folks.
If you will. And the funny thing is, then like leaves him laying with a belt. We fade to black with Cody bleeding and Rock Cena smiling. Or do we? Because then we refade out of black and we get more shots of Cody bleeding in the ring. He's waving off help from the refs. Cody stands. Cole, Barrett, and Pat come out. I mean, they're making Cody look vulnerable as all get out here as we cut to the post show, which was kind of a weird production choice.
Yeah.
The fact that it felt like they faded out like two or at least once, maybe twice. Like you thought that's the end, and then they didn't.
Yeah.
But anyways, I think part of that was apparently that Triple H at some point was like, no, everybody else shut up. I'm directing traffic for the end of this thing.
Yeah.
So maybe there was confusion there. But anyways, here's my thought. And maybe this is just headcanon for me.
Yeah.
I feel like the expression that John Cena was using here, like he wasn't a heel taking gleeful joy in what he was doing. It was like there's a little bit of it felt like there was a little bit of a battle.
Yeah.
Like he's doing this because he knows this is what he needs to do. He's not taking any joy in it. So I feel like now the story here of John Cena being a heel for the first time in 22 years it is, 22, 3 years, something like that, is part of that story is now going to be, it's not the battle for Cody's soul, it's now the battle for John Cena's soul.
Yeah.
Because he's conflicted.
Yeah.
And he wants this thing. And so are we going to see him get the championship at WrestleMania, or will there be shenanigans? Cody retains, and then we have this chase going throughout, and then eventually it comes to a redemption where he does.
It's got to at the end, yeah. But I don't know if I got as much of a read of him struggling with it. He just seemed like he had a very different demeanor, and but it also goes with, and this is where the layers are just crazy here, because it's not just like the history that Rock and Cena have, as they competed against each other, 10 plus years ago, but you have Cena, who was the guy that was calling The Rock out for, abandoning, wrestling for Hollywood and coming back and all of this stuff, and how he's always here. And now Cena is exactly who The Rock was, when this all happened. And now he comes back. He's got the backstory of, he would come
he's
back.
Going to write some notes on his arm so that Cody can call
Maybe,
that out.
But, comes back, has been losing matches constantly. He talks about, how he just hasn't had the luck and all this sort of thing. It now puts into context better what happens, like after Royal Rumble, where, he uses his, basically the reputation he's built up over the last 20 years and saying, I don't, for the first time, I think this is what's best for business. I've given my heart and soul to this company. I think I deserve a and I said this to you too. You've never heard John Cena say that.
No.
And that got me thinking, and we talked about this, wondering if they were going to go potentially down a heelish route with him or not, slightly, where he's kind of being a little more entitled now because of who he is as the GOAT, as the legend, and that sort of thing. And so, so now this reframes WrestleMania quite differently, because I now think this is going to be where he wins for the 17th time, that he's sold his soul to the devil. He's going to get the 17th world title. Cody is going to either chase him or get engaged in another story. But I think ultimately it's going to come back to
chase him. He's got to chase him.
I think so too. Like, I think ultimately Cody wins the title back from him, and becomes champion again. But I think it's good to show, like you said, Cody vulnerable. Cody, this is kind of like Rocky 3 a little bit. Cody's going to get rocked by this, but I don't know if what they're, where I see this going potentially could be, and I don't know if this would work next year because of Rock's age, but are they building to eventually Cody versus The Rock next year at WrestleMania? So Rock comes back with, Rock is bringing Cena to the dance. Cena, upends him. Rock still has a pinfall over Cody from last year. Do we then make the trip all the way around to WrestleMania 42 and have it be Cody versus The Rock? And it's kind of like The Rock's swan song at that point as a competitor. He has one more match where he wants to, take that title from Cody. It makes sense to me from a storytelling standpoint, because they seem to be doing a story not between Cody and Roman anymore, but between Cody and Rock. Cody and Roman is still there, and they're probably going to play with that like it's Batman and Superman, kind of thing, where they, they don't exactly run together and they don't exactly like each other, but they kind of, they work together almost, in spite of the way they feel about each other, No,
that's a good way to put it. It's a good analogy. I like that.
And so I think Reigns and Cody being, I think there'll still be a feud, but it won't be like it was prior to WrestleMania 40. I think that element of the Cody Reigns feud has come to an end. Reigns is going to be a different character moving forward.
Yeah.
Cena is going to be temporary because he's doing his final, his final run here. But Rock is still there, and Rock has this thing with Cody. And I got to imagine they do these things in a trilogy, and they close it out in 42 with The Rock finally losing to Cody, maybe as a, retirement match sort of thing, or, Cody wants the title, Rock wants the title. Cody wants Rock's, ability. Even though he's the boss, he can't compete anymore if Cody pins him. Like, I think that would be a very compelling main event, honestly.
Maybe.
And it'll have the story behind it too.
I think there's also a chance that we get Rock Cena in December.
We could.
Because I think there's a way that you could turn this thing around, and then Rock and Cena turns face, and you get that. No, you've laid out a compelling
ruthless
story.
aggression.
Ruthless aggression, Boston. That could work.
Can you play the music?
Relax.
Come on.
What do we got for side bets here? Because
we already went through the side bets. We got to tally it all up. Tally ho. Tally ho.
Well, no, we didn't go through the side bets for this because we didn't go through the side bets for the what is the final boss grand plan.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay,
we got none of these right.
And by the way, one last thing I just want to call out from a storyline perspective, because this tells me how well thought out this story was. If Cody says yes to The Rock, because I was playing this out in my head, like, what if Cody's character said yes? Then what happens with Cena if Cena's already in league with The Rock, right?
Yeah.
I think if they were to play it out that way, I think Cena still turns on, still does what he does to Cody. But now Rock has shown Cody to not be the hero that he claims to be. You could not stand on your principles. You know what I mean? No, I think that's really cool because
with this is great.
No, I think it's cool because it doesn't break down. It's like you can still have Cena be the guy who's really selling himself to Rock and the guy who's, just looking for the opportunity to win the title. But then you have Cody who's always been, for the people, and he's given himself for this and that and the other. Imagine if he said, yes, I want what you're offering me, Rock. Rock was never going to give it to him.
Yeah.
Rock just wanted to see if he could break Cody. And if he breaks Cody and then still Cena turns heel, it's like, how much badder would that have been? Because now Cody has to reconcile with the decision he made, and he's got nothing to show for it. He sacrificed his character at the altar of trying to make himself better. So I think this is just a genius story they've come up with. I was really pissed off going into this event with Rock's presence and how it was, interfering with what was going to be, what I was hoping to be, Cody versus Punk. I could live with Cody versus Cena, but it just didn't feel like it had a lot of juice to me because it just felt like this was Cena kind of riding the coattails of his legacy. And maybe I might be parroting this from Uncle Corny's show, but now you've got, Cena or maybe there's an article I was reading, but now you've got Cena, doing something above and beyond, almost like giving back, because at some point, if he beats Cody, that he's going to give back. And he's going to have elevated Cody even more as a babyface.
Oh, totally. Yeah.
When Cody comes back around and beats him. So,
yeah.
So anyway, side bets we were talking about.
I love how you're going 8 layers deep on this. It's great to watch.
Dude, this is great. This is great storytelling.
This has totally got like all the gears engaged. We are witnessing the man they call Tim at like his full power. Like, witness the power of this fully functional battle station.
Do it. All right, so here's what our side bets were. For the man they called Tim, Jacob, well, actually, we went the same on this one. So both of us said Jacob Fatu will appear and attack Cody Rhodes. That did not happen. John Cena took care of business. My other one was, a little bit wordy, but it was CM Punk is in league with The Rock through the favor from the wise man, but revealed later. That had nothing to do with anything that happened. Punk was
horsepucky.
Yes. And then Uncle Todd with the long bomb on this one. Hikulo makes his debut on behalf of The Rock. That did not. People are saying who are listening say Hikulo who? Who are we talking about here? Yes, it's one more member of the Samoan family who is going to appear at some point down the line. And this was not the event.
Apparently the Samoan dynasty is like, when they said like you could march, people from China like 10 abreast into the sea and it would never stop moving because apparently, they'd be having kids in line. It's like the Samoan dynasty is like rabbits. Every time you turn around, it's like, wait, is it like amoeba? It's not even like rabbits. Are they splitting? Like, what's happening? Like Jacob Fatu's. Oh crap. Who's he? That's Fakeb Jatu. Oh, son of a bitch. I can't.
Fakeb Jatu.
I need a flow chart.
Oh my god.
That's what I need.
All right.
Oh
so
my gosh. Yeah, so we bombed out on those so
our
badly.
final score for this event.
God,
The Man They Call Tim, 4.5 points. Uncle Todd, 2.5 points. So this is how we're stacking up on the leaderboard.
Not as bad as I thought it was going to be.
No, you did well, sir. You did well. But
I thought it was be like 1.5 or something.
All right. So after 2 events on our 2025
this is where
free range idiocy leaderboard.
So wait, are we not doing the real and jabronis on this? Or we haven't had one yet?
We haven't had one yet. We got to do
That's
cap
right.
4. Got to do cap 4.
Okay.
Right now, our total score for 2025 sits at Man They Call Tim, 11.5 points. Uncle Todd, 6.
Son of a bitch. Okay.
You got some catching up to do, son. You got some catching up to do.
Yeah. Story of my life. Anyways. Let's see
I'm thinking
here.
at this point, do you want to just skip Rod Cheers and Jeers and just go to in another thing? Because we're
I think the one thing that we do need to make
right.
2 things that we need to mention.
Yes.
The opening of Raw was fan friggin' tastic.
I'm sorry. Punk blew himself up at one point. Did you see him how he was like he was sucking oxygen? He was the vitriol coming out of the man's mouth. But anyway, sorry.
He was so good, and the way that he should have been. Like it wasn't engaging the crowd. It wasn't doing its clobbering time. Like straight to the ring, went around, tore apart the announce desk, stood on top of that for his promo.
Yeah,
and was just livid.
Yep.
Livid. And calling and dropping, BS's on Netflix and everything else. And it was very much a Netflix sort of promo. And then Rollins comes, we hear Rollins music, and instead of turning and waiting for what Rollins has to hear, we get the genuine reaction of like, to hell with this, I'm just going to go beat his ass. And Punk runs around and meets Rollins at the entryway, and they proceed to then have what can best be described as like the best hockey fight you've ever seen.
Yeah.
Because it just kept on going.
Thank God he got off the table and ran the way that he did, because I was sitting there like, if he stands there and rolls his eyes and just doesn't do anything when Rollins comes out, he is going to kill this entire thing. And Punk is better than that. So yeah, we're past the promo comedy here. Like this is now intense. This is now very, very real. I'm a little surprised they're doing the cage match, but they are in Madison Square Garden next week. They are probably doing this because they want to prop up not only, the streaming audience, but also, it's an MSG. It's a big deal. They're probably going to play into that history.
Yep.
But a little surprised they're going with that. That's where, and again, they're in a cage, so I don't know how this happens, but I have a feeling we may get a Roman Reigns involvement here, which is going to take us further down the road to WrestleMania.
Well, the thing is, Roman Reigns is booked for the 2 SmackDowns before WrestleMania, which are in Europe. So I think after the show in New York, then they head to Europe from there.
Okay.
So we'll see how that plays out. You could be right, because I'm trying to figure out how they elevate this from a cage to get it to WrestleMania. Because
otherwise, Reigns has no one else that he's really in a beef with right now. He's conquered Solo. Rollins put him on the shelf, so it feels natural that he would come after Rollins. And Punk both helped him at Survivor Series, but was also the one who eliminated him at the Royal Rumble.
And was aggravating the hell out of him in the cage.
Yes. And so that's where, there's a very interesting dynamic here. So,
did you catch the Terry Funk reference?
I think so, but remind me.
Middle-aged and crazy, because he
yes.
mentioned himself that he was middle-aged and crazy, but Rock was having a midlife crisis. I was like,
Cactus?
I'm changing the rules. Which is another great reason to watch Brian Zane wrestling with Brett. His Terry Funk impression is great.
Oh yeah.
But I love how this kept on going.
Yeah.
Like every time they would break them apart, and this is a normal thing in wrestling, these fights, like, they break them apart and then they're fine. And then maybe they get back together once, but like they kept going and it kept going. However, I will say, like, my other point here is like there was so much recap in
in Raw.
Like, okay, we got it. We were watching
Mm-hmm.
It's streaming. We can rewind. I don't need the 5-minute replay of the thing that happened, the replay, and then the replay of the Elimination Chamber. And I get that, like, it was a big seismic event, but we don't need to see, like, reactions from around the world. And this, and it was like, there was so much recap in that show. It was really getting aggravating.
Yeah.
I only watched like half the show. I did not get a chance to catch up today. There was some good stuff going on there. I actually thought, because we didn't talk about last week's Raw, I thought the way that I mean, I appreciate the fact that they're kind of feeding Alpha Academy to Gunther. I liked how Tozawa got his shot last week at Gunther, and the fact that it had shades. And I remember, because I believe we were roommates when this happened. The time when Triple H was the champion, and Taka Michinoku got a championship match on Raw.
Yeah.
And watching it, I was like, holy shit, he might actually win this thing. Like, there was it became this believable thing, because it was a 50-50 match. It wasn't a squash. It wasn't like, it was going back and forth. And I was like, there's no way they're going to give Taka the championship, right?
Right.
I mean, but you're in it and you're watching, you're like, they might. And Tozawa was a little bit like that, where he was pulling out enough hope spots that they pulled you into the match. And then to see Otis in this match having a strong showing against Gunther, it was kind of cool. It was showing, like, again, Gunther still came out ahead, still looked strong, still looked like that resourceful champion. But you also had these moments where it's like, huh, okay, that's interesting.
Yeah.
That was all right. But other than that, like, from what I saw, it was Raw. It wasn't fantastic. There wasn't anything else I feel the need to pull out there. Anything for you besides that? I mean, aside from the main event, which I did not get to see yet.
What did I have? So yeah, we talked about the Punk Rollins fight. No, I thought that was great. And the entire, I mean, just the great intensity that's there. I think they're doing just a wonderful job with that feud. Otis looking, as we texted last night, Otis looking better against Gunther than Jey Uso did.
Yeah, by far.
Just a great match, and it was great that they showcased some of his power. We don't really get to see. I don't feel like we get to see a lot of Otis, in the ring. But the dude can go, and he.
Well, and the fact that it's one of those moments when you see Gunther overpowered.
Yeah,
because that doesn't happen very often.
No,
he's a big dude.
Yeah,
Yep.
What else? McAfee did a funny rhyme about the Judgment Day and New Day. That was pretty funny. I made a note about that. The tag title match was good. Penta Ludwig was good. Great women's championship match with a surprise finish with the Io Sky taking it.
I don't know.
Especially after the other champions, both retained. Figured it was in the bag that Rhea was going to retain as well. So that was kind of surprised. So I'm not entirely sure where they go with Rhea. Things I didn't like, Grayson Waller and Austin Theory have no business on my screen. Just flat out. Just I don't need them. They're not entertaining. They're a couple of chuckleheads, and don't need it. Nasty scab on Gunther's knee, by the way. I don't know if you noticed that at the end of the match.
Well, it wasn't a scab. It was an open wound by the time.
Well, he had that wrap around his knee, and then I think it's because he had like a bandage that was there, and it was trying to like hold it there, and then something happened to his leg that ripped it down, and I was like, damn, that's a nasty wound you got going on there. Just good Lord.
Put some bacitracin on that.
Something is off with Lyra Valkyria in my mind. I do, like, when she comes out, I don't really feel like the crowd goes nuts for her. And I'm trying to, and I think part of it is like, what is her deal? Like, I did not follow her through NXT at all. So I don't have any sense of who she is and why I'm supposed to cheer for her, other than she clearly is, acting as a babyface. It was an interesting choice for them to have her go over Nile. I think it was good for her to have that. I was kind of thinking Nile was going to win. I'm not sure what they're, because I'm not sure what they're doing with American Made. I mean, it's just like they're the tag team, the Creed brothers lose, Nile loses. So it's like, okay, so what are you guys then? You're supposed to be like this group of excellence, and you guys can't,
and then you've got like, Chad Gable's Lost in Cleveland.
Yes.
On on location film going, where I'm like, it's a luchador mask. We know it's a luchador mask. Can we just get to the point where it's like Chad Gable luchador? Because that, I'm willing to buy that. I just don't need all the accessories.
Gable, male luchador.
When you put it that way, it seems so dirty.
Well, that's because I'm playing off of Dan Aykroyd's Fred Garvin, male prostitute.
Just imagine.
Do you remember that bit in the old Saturday Night Live?
No, but just imagining Dan Aykroyd as a male prostitute, I got to admit,
that was kind of the point of the sketch. He's dressed like an absolute nerd, and he comes in and she, I forget what was said, but it just at some point he just looks at the camera, and is like, Fred Garvin, male prostitute. All right. What else did I not like? Yeah, just something was off there. Carlito waddling toward Braun Breaker. Did you notice that when he was on the outside of the ring?
Okay. Get to that point,
yeah, he kind of waddled toward him. I don't know if Carlito's dealing with an injury or something. But
Carlito's getting up there in years. I mean,
my last question though is, we just talked about it with the steel cage match. Why would you give away Rollins and Punk on free TV, especially in a cage? Come on. Well, I guess it's not free TV exactly. It's Netflix, but anyway.
Carlito's 46, dude.
I know. Well, he should be nimble like a squirrel. Come on.
How nimble were you at 46, sir? And remember, I've known you.
My knees crack a little bit. So
yeah, exactly.
All right, that's all I got. Let's wrap this some gun up.
All right. So what do you got for and another thing then? I'm going to beat you to it because you trying to steal this spot from me.
I'm not trying to steal this spot from you. I am. I'm simply. I'd like to hear a little bad man. I think I've waited long enough. We've talked about the Cena heel turn.
We're trying to get to the end of this show. We're almost at 3 hours here, sir.
Yeah. Well, I was trying to get us wrapped up. All right. So we just come off the Oscars that were on Sunday night. My wife and I have been watching a few of the nominated Best Picture candidates last week.
Voters? Do you get like all the previews and stuff?
No. I just go around and spend copious amounts of money watching them. But we saw The Brutalist a couple of weeks ago. This is a 3.5 hour tome. It is a long one. It is, but it's very good. It is a movie about a Jewish architect's experience immigrating from World War II Hungary over into America. It is composed of several other Jewish folk real stories, but kind of composed in this one character. But just the idea that coming across to a new country as an established architect, he was very renowned in his country, but now starting over from scratch, and really just about the way I think sometimes we like to look back at our history very fondly about how we treated the Jews as they were being persecuted in Germany and in Europe, and unfortunately that was not always the case in America. And so this is part of that story, part of their struggle. I did look up The Brutalist is actually a term used for the type of architecture his character employs, which is very utilitarian, very cement kind of focused, and that is part of what part of the story is him building this massive building for this very wealthy patron who wants to have a building kind of built in honor of his mother, and so he designs this building, but there's also a story to the building he's creating, and it's very like when you get to the end of the movie, I don't want to say too much in case people want to watch it, but there is an underlying theme to the buildings that he creates and the stories he kind of tells with them, and so he does that with this, and it's very interesting. So very long movie. It actually had a built-in 15-minute intermission, so
as it should.
I was able to safely go take a potty break and not miss anything. But honestly, the movie moved fast. Like, it did not feel like 3.5 hours. It went like it flows. It was done in VistaVision, by the way. So if there's a chance that, which apparently I read about this, it's basically when you take the film and you turn it horizontally. So VistaVision is, instead of the film running, vertically this way, it runs horizontally. So it actually gives you more, it's a wider picture. There's more, I looked it up. I don't know if the colors are different or something like that. More vivid colors, but more vivid picture, that sort of thing. Definitely showed in it. I mean, it's a very well shot, movie, and it was really good. I mean, it's got some very dark themes in it too. I mean, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. But it is, I'm trying to think of her name. Who played in Rogue One, Felicity, what was her name? Jones.
Oh my gosh. Yes.
Felicity Jones, Adrian Brody, and I'm trying to think of the actor who plays the wealthy patron, Guy Pearce.
Okay.
Yes, I think Guy Pearce is his name. No, just all just phenomenal job. So I would highly recommend The Brutalist. I don't think it's in theaters anymore. It might be in some, kind of local. We went and saw it at kind of a older theater that still kind of shows films that are not quite first run. So you may have to really hunt for it at this stage. But it probably will be showing up soon on some streaming services too. So. But Adrian Brody did win Best Actor from it, and rightfully so. He was very good. And I'm trying to remember. I think Brutalist won a couple other Oscars, but do check it out.
All right. Well, based on that, I'm actually going to change. My
switch it up.
Thing. I am, because I'm still going to be watching the thing I was talking about in my another thing next week, so I'll do that one.
All right.
But we just actually, my family watched this as a family movie prior to recording tonight, so I'll throw this one out there. It's a 2024 film, A Real Pain, starring Kieran Culkin and Jesse Eisenberg.
Kieran Culkin won an Oscar for his as Best Supporting Actor.
He should. He was fantastic in this movie.
Yeah.
And this was also written and directed by Jesse Eisenberg as well, so a tour de force performance for him. This movie, it was one of those things where, so it's the story of these two cousins who their grandmother dies and apparently leaves them money to then go and travel to Poland to visit her roots and to kind of see, where she came from. And, of course, both characters are Jewish, so they're both Polish Jews traveling back to where their grandmother was, and she survived a concentration camp in Poland. And it's one of those movies that there's a lot of layers to it. And Kieran Culkin, dude, was so good in this, and I've enjoyed him in a few different films. Scott Pilgrim versus the World being probably the one that comes to mind most, because I just love that movie. In spite of the fact my wife will not watch it with me under any circumstances whatsoever, but I'm still totally in the bag for it. But he just does such a great job of portraying this character who, it's at the same. I identified with Jesse Eisenberg's character so much, because you have this other character who has this charm and is and people like him, kind of just like, even though he might be a little bit of a jerk or saying things that whatever, but his cousin is just watching this and is so afraid to engage in some of the shenanigans that are going on, but yet everybody else just kind of eventually joins in on this, and you can see there's a part of him that wants to be this guy. He wants to be the person who's the fun guy and doesn't give a shit about what's going on and all this. But it also shows kind of the flip side of that. And there's something about that movie that just kind of resonated with me as I was watching it, and kind of like, it was funny because, at the end, when we're getting to the very end, I was like, oh my gosh, my wife's gonna hate the end of this movie, because I can tell. I'm like, I know exactly where we're ending with this movie, and she's gonna hate it. And we get to the end of the movie, she's like, what the? And I'm like, yep, and right on cue. But it is not like a blockbuster movie. It is one of those movies that is very much. It's not a popcorn movie.
Yeah.
But it will make you think, and it's one of those things where we finished that movie and I'm like, I'm going to be thinking about this for the next 3 or 4 days pretty heavily. Like this is going to work its way into my thoughts. And I remember turning to Kaylin at a couple times, at one point in particular during this movie. And I was talking about Kieran Culkin's character Benji. I'm like, that character is one big intrusive thought that always wins. And she's like, yes. That is it. Like the intrusive thought always wins with him. I'm like, yes, that is just who this character is.
Nice.
And it was great. And at the same time, my wife is just like, what? So it was a nice bonding moment for us. And also then, my wife is probably still upstairs tossing and turning right now, going into that movie. But anyways, A Real Pain. It was streaming on. Was it Netflix? No, it was on Disney Plus, actually. The Disney Plus. As a matter
What's
of
it called again?
A Real Pain.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's actually the other thing that was very very nice about it. It's a neat and tidy hour and 29 minutes, so just under 90 minutes. Like it's a real old school movie in the fact that it's like it doesn't take 2, 3, 4 hours to tell this fracking story. Like you're in and out an hour and a half. It's kind of nice. As opposed to a lot of movies or this show that drags on forever. And speaking of which, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for us to call quits. We're 3 hours into this thing, and it's time for us to leave.
I thought we were going to get done early after my 30-minute week in Geek. Good Lord Almighty!
No,
this event was only 5 matches. It took us like forever.
It was
4
matches and a segment. But I mean, John Cena demands your attention, sir.
Heel turn heard round the world. By the way,
the power of John Cena compels you
to give you an idea of how much this is, just permeating through. If you're a fan of The Daily Show, do go check it out. Jon Stewart. I won't get into the political stuff, the metaphor he uses it for, but he finds a way to integrate the John Cena heel turn into a point he is making about some current events that have happened recently, and does it masterfully. And so and Stewart is a longtime wrestling fan. He famously about 10 years ago was in a kind of a little bit of a feud with Seth Rollins of all people, which culminated with, I think, him showing up at a match in SummerSlam or something like he didn't wrestle. He was just kind of like interjecting himself in the match sort of thing. And so anyways, it was just kind of funny. So he did a great job though, explaining it. He got into, explained what a heel was, a face, who was representing who in terms of the metaphor he was trying to create with it. And was just really funny. And like, I'll just share this one little thing he says. Like he's talking to the crowd and he's like, what, you are not familiar with this? Did you appropriately age out of watching professional wrestling like most normal people do? I, however, have not. And neither have us on the show. So there we are. All right.
Well, the funny part is, so my personal trainer, well, my wife is my personal trainer. She went to Springfield College in Massachusetts, of which John Cena is an alumnus.
Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun.
So anyways, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching or listening to the show. We do certainly appreciate you. All the members of the Free Range EDC congregation, you can find us on all the major podcast purveyors out there: Apple Podcasts, Pandora, Spotify, whatever the hell Amazon calls its podcast thing. You can also find us on the social medias. We are on the Facebook, the Instagram. We are on the YouTubes. All of those are at Free Range Idiocy. If you'd like video, full color HD video, you can go to our YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/@freerangeidiocy. Excuse me. You can also go to Spotify and you can toggle between the video and the audio. In case just the video is too much, you can just be like, I just need to hear these yahoos. I don't need to see them. Whatever, we don't take offense as long as we get a download. It's all right with us. If you go to freerangeidiocy.com, you can find all of our episodes there and subscribe to the Podbean app. If you have any thoughts, questions, concerns, you can send those to tim@freerangeidiocy.com, and he'll get back to you ASAP, if not quicker. And now, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for me to turn this over to the man who's next to the man, who's next to the man, who's next to the man, who's next to the damn man, who called that piccolo play a mother, and then sorry, we can't use that word here, mother fracker on the show. Is that what we use? But ladies and gentlemen, the least idiotic of the two idiots on this show, and well, it's not saying much. It's an easy bar for him to clear. on most days, even on a Saturday, twice on a Sunday. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to turn to the man they call Tim, but not before I ask him the second most important question in all of human history. The first being, what is hip? The second being, what in the high holy hell did we learn this episode?
We have learned the following, my friend. We've learned that Andor Season 2, dropping 3-episode chapters across 4 weeks, is going to make for some wonderful viewing. And we are very bullish on what the season will be and look forward to the story that will be told. We have also learned that the origin of the word frack from our mid-2000 BSG beloved series has its roots in the original Battlestar Galactica. Who would have thunk it? Who would have thunk it? We've also learned that when it comes to the powers of prognostication, when it comes to professional wrestling, the man they call Tim is still the real world champion. Well, thank you for that. We will see if the leaderboard lead holds or if man they call Tim collapses like a house of cards. That can
we can always hope for the second.
Guaranteed. We've also learned WWE still on a freaking roll with their PLEs. Minus the Nia Jax match, we had 3 solid matches, and as good as the men's and women's Elimination Chamber matches were, Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn stole the show. Hands down. Stole the show. Do check that match out if you want to see some brutality, the likes of which you have never seen since the days of the Attitude Era and ECW. And we have also learned that when it comes to the side bets, Uncle Todd, the man they call Tim, way far off. Way far off. Just not even in the ballpark. Just like, should we even keep doing side bets at this point? Because it's just like we're, stinking. Yeah. All right. And then finally, we are bullish on the CM Punk, Seth Rollins feud and its build toward WrestleMania, looking for maybe a little Roman Reigns and the Wise Man action in there as well. Maybe Punk gets his main event yet, and Rollins will be the reason for it. And how much will that eat at Seth Rollins? I want to know. With all that being said, you're just going to cut it there? Jeez, I thought I was going to have a little music talk over here. No. With all that being said, as Uncle Todd has mentioned, and I would like to reinforce, we do thank you for the downloads, for the listenership. Hey, this is a long episode. Throw it on 1.5x, and let me tell you, you will get through it in half the time, and you will feel like so much more good about yourself. You will hear us.
No, you won't. You'll still feel dirty.
Like, what the heck did I just do?
Feel like you need a shower. It's all right. It's okay.
Come on, you're not selling it,
we
sir.
Don't take it personally. We don't take it personally.
But
as
all that being said,
and you're filthy, it's okay.
Be safe, be healthy, be kind, be good to one another. You don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. The range is closed. See ya.
I like a Mussolini.
You're such a disappointing pair. I prayed so hard for you. Get out. And don't come back until you've redeemed yourselves.
So say we all.
One more thing we learned. John Cena is a bad, bad man.
Fine, here you go.
Thank you very much.
We're going to close it out with this.
We got it.
John Cena and a flute.
Oh, you done did it now.
You done did it now.
You should have put this
Uncle Todd, Don did it now.
They not ready. Flute. They don't know what's coming, man.
You flautist.
We gonna drop this on them right here. Y'all ain't ready for this. Y'all ain't ready
This
for
goes hard, my friend.
Was a bad man. Then we invading the streets, make them clap a rapper skirt. They be dropping.
Could be his entrance music to WrestleMania 41.
It should be.
I flip fools like them clamshells.
In a righteous world, it would be.
Have him come out, have the towel over his head, man. He'll have the old Cena Thugonomics shirt on. Oh, I would love it.
This the master plan. We got the planet on hold. We all over the streets like your favorite sneaker. Breaking up your sound like a drive-through speaker. Everything that I be spitting is strong. After I rock, fast forward through the rest of the song. We the monkey wrench that's gonna ruin.
Hey, it's the beauty of the trademark Bumpy Knuckles. You gotta work that in, don't you?
I'm a bad man. With the mic in my hands, I'm a bad man. Even in the fight.
Now get the hell out of here!